And now on Who's Views, it's time for the latest headlines with JT and the Whotastic panel.
Welcome back to Who's Views. It is Headlines. How are you all? Oh, have you recovered from those atrocious, lazy, awful bits of television that was shown last weekend? I'll be very honest with you. I don't think I have quite. Not yet. And also today, receiving the information that the standard edition of season 22 will not now be available to June 24. Well, that's really pleased me, hasn't it? That's really made my week after last weekend. I'm not happy, but June the 24th, if you haven't had the information, if you've pre-ordered the season 22 collection standard edition, no, we've still got a bit of time to wait for that. So yaboo to everybody that's got it on the limited editions, and I know some that have. But yes, welcome. Thank you for coming to Cheers at Who's Views. This is Headlines for you. We have a packed show for you tonight. We've got a lot to get through, because by God, they're giving us a lot to talk about, aren't they, everybody? So yes, I've got just the panel for you tonight that can actually put a smile back on your faces and get your weekend starting with a boom. See what I did there? Let's bring on right now someone, oh no, look at this, someone that's showing off. We've got Paul, we've got Third Doctor Ian, and yes, indeed, we've got Bedweer with us. Hello, all.
Yeah, we've both got it. Most exciting, again, yes.
Well, yes, thank you for that, guys. That's really good to you. I was really quite, how long ago was it since I did a Merchandise Paradise saying, oh, it's coming, you can pre-order it now? It was about a year ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
It feels like that, but no, it's not. June the 24th, it's due.
That's the day after the new series ends, I think, isn't it? So that's good.
It's a little bit spooky, isn't it, darling? It really is.
Yeah. What an interesting coincidence.
It really is, yeah. Thank you, everybody that are in the chat. Yeah, I can see you all joining us now. We will come to you very shortly, but it's lovely to see you. I just want to say, as usual, a huge thank you to everybody that's leaving comments on our shows over the last few days. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, all valued. And a huge thank you to everybody that's emailing as well. You can get in touch with us on our email address, as I'm sure you know right now. It is whosviews1@gmail.com. You can get in touch with us there, whosviews1@gmail.com. And I want to say, especially this for this show, thank you to Duck Soup, to Anthony Weaver, to Simon Leavesley, to John Mason, to Bobby D75, and also Divining Dragon, because yes, some of your stories and some of the bits of information you sent me are in this particular show, and a couple of them I've carried over to Sunday. Yes, well, we'll talk more about Sunday later on, but I just want to show you this one that's been sent, guys. Look at this. This one is from Divining Dragon. He was on a walk the other night as he was listening to us. Oh, clever guy. And he saw this. This is a poster in his neighborhood, as they say over there. It's quite big, isn't it? But what I want to know, DD, is does anybody take any notice of it?
Can I say something? If that was in my neighborhood, I'd have crap graffitied all over it, probably.
Yeah.
It looks like one of those big outdoor loos.
It
does. It spins round. The door spins round. Yeah, like in a train. Yeah.
There's definitely shit in it, obviously.
Oh, but thanks for that, DT. Bizarre thing. Isn't it? Absolutely bizarre. What are you saying, Ian?
I said sorry, not sorry.
But that was.
I haven't seen the equivalent over here, though.
No. It's been very quiet over here, hasn't it?
Well, do you know why? Because they don't care about the British audience now. As a lot of our Who Views have been saying in the comments, they're not bothered about us now. It's all about America now. It's about the American market and that elusive American dollar, which they think is going to help them with their retirement production in the future. That's what they think. That's all it's about, isn't it? Really,
but not for long.
Well, who knows? Who knows? Because it has been a very odd week. Gosh, let's start right. Hello to everybody. I cannot keep up with you already, but I will do a little bit here. You are all fantastic. Look at this. Have you seen the chat here? Divining Dragon is actually telling us, nope, nobody's taking any notice at all. Matt, the Silent Wee Music King, is saying it's probably being graffitied by a vandal by now. Yes.
Yeah.
No, I think the moustache is real.
He just needs the glasses. That'll be it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
We've got John there saying hello to us. Alpha Storm, he only gets the standard editions and the Blu-rays. When's the next one out? Well, season 22, June the 24th here in the UK. We haven't been told about another one yet, but keep an eye on us on this channel. Make sure you subscribe to us. I know you are, so that, you know, when there is a new announcement, we'll talk about it on Merchandise Paradise. But season 22, got to wait for a little bit there. Everyone else is here with us as well. Just Jordan, hello to you. Thanks, Andrew. Just Jordan's asking us, have you all been out and touched some grass today? Yes. Matthew was saying he's got it already as well. And Julia, hello, Julia. Welcome to Whose Views. It's lovely to see you. And she's down in sunny Exmouth. But all the gang's here. Thank you. Keep your comments coming through as we get through this. John is also saying it's Dr. Lou. John is saying to us it's a nice poster though, and Gary is saying to us Space Budgies and the Demon Note have gone down a storm in this alternate universe. Looking forward to Bang. Oh dear, I must have been dreaming. You certainly were. But we've got a lot. So hello to everybody. It's lovely to see you all. Thank you so much. Michael's asking, am I jealous? Yes, I am. I've been waiting for season 22 on Blu-ray since I spoke about it on this very channel. It's absolutely outrageous. Oh. Someone else that's been touching grass today is Paul. Look at that. All right. So, yeah, let's crack on with our first story for you all. Let's hear what you've got to say about this. This is from the Daily Express. BBC Doctor Who fans label new series woke and unwatchable as the viewer ratings drop. Well, quelle surprise. We predicted it here, didn't we, on our Sunday review of, what was it called, Space Babies, and then again on the Monday when we looked at the Men of Corn, which I am still recovering for. But let's get into this particular story, guys, and let's see what you think about this. Okay, so BBC fans have been left divided over the new series of Doctor Who, with some loyal viewers branding the show as woke and unwatchable. The 14th season of the long-running fantasy series returned to our screens this month. But all in all, the overhaul of the sci-fi show to seemingly incorporate gender politics and change the look of the series has left plenty to be desired by many watching at home. Following the return of Doctor Who, social media was soon awash with reactions to the double bill, with many unimpressed with the show's new look. One ex-user slammed the new series. He slammed it and its new look by saying, after the cast and crew told the old #Doctor Who fans to stop watching in favor of the modern audience, the current season's 2-episode premiere received the lowest overnight ratings in the show's history. R.I.P. Doctor Who.
Yeah, it serves them right. Yeah.
Yeah, facts right.
Yeah.
The reviews come just as the overnight ratings of Doctor Who show a drop. The BBC One premiere of episode 1 on Saturday night consisted of only 2.6 million viewers and 2.4 million for the second episode, which, don't forget, was shown literally within 5 minutes after the first one. The Daily Express is keen to point out here that these figures do not take into account streaming figures on BBC iPlayer, on which the episodes are available to stream prior to their broadcasts on BBC One on Saturday evening. Now, of course, it's, as we're broadcasting live to you here on Friday the 7th of May, it has gone 8 o'clock. It's around about 8 minutes past. So we've got 4 hours, around about 4 hours until episode 3 of this series drops on BBC iPlayer at midnight here in the UK, sensible times everywhere else in the world, and then back on BBC One Saturday night, tomorrow night, at whatever time it's going to be on. I can't be bothered looking. But reactions to that one, guys, that one from the Daily Express. I mean, there were a few papers and a few of the alternative channels we spoke about the other night talking about this. It's not looking good, is it?
It's not, but those ratings can't be right. 2.6 and 2.4. Surely that's a mistake.
What would you think they'd be?
Oh, I don't know. 50 million, something like that.
Yeah. 50 million overnight. Yeah. Yeah. But for the Daily Express, for those of you outside the UK, it has a readership. And this appears not only in print, but online. And it does have a readership. And along with articles like that, and along with the other channels that the mainstream are doing everything they can to close down, like Talk TV, like GB News, who have all featured Doctor Who this week, saying how bad it was and how extreme left-wing ideological it is. People watch and people read and people take notice. So what don't they do? Go and look at the series.
Yeah.
I mean, congratulations to the Daily Express, because it's probably one of the most accurate articles they've had in many a year. To be fair.
Very, very possibly, actually. Hello to Vinx306. Welcome to Who's Views, who has nostalgia for 2005 to 2011, but can't stand RTD fan fiction, goofy, lovey-dovey storytelling. Well, that's fair enough, isn't it, guys?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think as much as I enjoyed Tales from the TARDIS, there's elements in that which are hugely lovey-dovey, soap opera, and he's done it on the classic stuff as well, which is really irritating, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
Raymond, go on, Ian. Go on.
No, I just agreeing with what Paul says, really. And yeah, in reference to Tales from the TARDIS, it was nice to see some of the stuff, wasn't it? But it's just the way the narrative would go. It was just, it's like, oh, this is nice. This is an interesting car. Oh, stop it.
Yeah.
Just missed opportunity.
Yeah.
I think the ratings is obviously a talking point because it's information that's out in the public domain straight away. We don't know the iPlayer numbers yet. We don't know the Disney Plus success or not. We'll have to wait and see. But it's interesting that media outlets are picking up on the fact that 2.6, 2.4. Will we drop below Legend of the Sea Devils, which was 2.2 this weekend? Again, the weather's supposed to be good, as far as I'm aware. We'll wait and see, and then, what happens after that?
Yeah, I noticed a lot of this actually. There was an awful lot of talk about the weather, and we do have to explain that here in the UK, it does actually matter. To an extent, it does matter because we don't get good weather every single day, and people don't watch television, whether you're a fan of a show or not. People don't watch television because they'll tend to go to the seaside, or they'll go into the country, or they'll go out, or they'll go to pubs and beer gardens, basically, and they'll go wherever. Even in London, they'll go into Soho, or they'll go around the fringes of London. So they don't tend to do that because we value the sun very, very much, don't we? And we just tend to go that. So a small number will come to it. But I in this case, though, I think it was an excuse. I think the whole weather thing was possibly an excuse because even though it was lovely, this was the comeback for a British institution, a British legend, and it flopped enormously. And I can't see it all be down to the weather at all, because the lack of publicity for it, although they did the usual talk shows and stuff like that, the fact that they were pushing it so much online, I'm beginning to think that people of a certain age upwards, say from around about 29, 30 upwards, will see things on the iPlayer and think, oh, I can go back and watch that at some point, and then just forget about it because they're busy trying to pay the rent and the mortgage. So I don't know. I think I felt an apathy from the great British public here, and also from the majority of the fan base. I just don't think they came because they just didn't want to. They didn't want to look at this thing.
Well, they'd already been burnt from the Whittaker era for a start, but also they had no chance of. They had the chance with the 60th to come back with some decent specials, and they didn't. And then it's just been downhill ever since, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the weather's just a convenient excuse.
Yeah.
It's just a convenient angle on which to hang their spin at the end of the day. I don't think that would have fared any better if it had been chucking it down outside or minus 10. I think it was not viewed by many people because the majority had been told not to watch it, and it's crap.
Well, they're heading into a really difficult television patch in particular because the weather's improving, so fewer people are watching television, full stop, because as JT pointed out, people are outside enjoying good weather. But I think, next weekend we'll have the FA Cup final.
That's right, yeah. Even I know that one.
Like, even if that is another fair weather day, people will tune into that. You've got, European Championship football. Like, there is event television that comes around and bucks the trend. So if it is a sunny day, but England are playing in the Euros, they'll get 10 million on an overnight. Easy. Yeah. Because it's a big deal and you have to watch it live. Doctor Who has stopped becoming that thing you have to watch live or at all.
Or having to watch at all, Bedouin.
Yeah.
As I say, I really don't think people want to watch it at all. I think you're right. I think they were put off during the Chibnall era because we saw it, didn't we? Every single week, the ratings were going down during the Chibnall era. Nothing was saving it. They went up slightly, just ever so slightly for the Return of Tennant. And then what happened after that first episode, The Star Beast? They went down again.
Yeah.
You know, they went down again. They went up slightly, if I remember correctly, to see the new Doctor, because British people like to see a new Doctor. But now here we are in 2 million land. Overnights. Let's reiterate that it are the overnights. Of course, we will get to know what the 7-day nonsense is. And we will be reporting that, because I don't trust all that nonsense at all. With all this extra 4 device thing or whatever it is.
I think generally, though, from experience as Doctor Who fans, we know Doctor Who does better in the winter, but I don't think even this series would do well in January or December or whatever, you know?
I don't think so either, but we may be finding out, because we've got this theory for anybody new to our channel here. We've got this theory since these 2 awful episodes that we know there's a second season just about to finish. So most of those 8 episodes are in the can. So we're going to get the Stephen Moffat Christmas episode, aren't we, on Christmas Day? Let's see how that one does. I reckon, some of the guys will agree with me here, I reckon that they might actually bring Series 2 forward to January next year to try and get out of the way. Just try and improve.
Maybe.
So
you say they're in the can. You say they're in the can. That's going back to that external loo again, isn't it, that we were seeing earlier?
It's also dependent on how long it takes them to do all the CGI that they're spending Disney money on.
Yeah.
So
allegedly, I couldn't really see any glossy money in that. It just looked like a normal BBC show. John's with us. Hiya, John. I couldn't watch it, but some of my students and their parents did, and they were shocked at whatever crap it was. Well, I think we all were. I mean, you've seen our reviews there, haven't you, for the first 2 episodes? And as I say, I'm still slightly traumatized by it because, geez, it's no wonder people are cancelling their license fees left, right, and centre. What a pile of crap. I mean, honest to God, talk about twee, lazy, shallow television. I've never seen anything like it. It was just a disgrace, and how it managed to get onto the BBC. It shows you how far they've fallen down the hole as well, doesn't it? And hello to Stuart who's joining us. Stuart Busby's here. Hello, sir. Who is on borrowed time? RTD was its last chance, but he's let us down badly. I predict it won't be recommissioned after Series 2. RIP Doctor Who. Well, we're on the same page on that one, aren't we, really? We don't believe that's going to be either. Troy is saying RTD is the destroyer. Yes, he's blue and he's got those big horns. That was great.
He's more like the Candyman, to be honest, I think.
Still a great suit. Still a great suit. Yes. Yeah. And Sadeko24, hello, mate. Part of the problem is I've started getting into Ayn Rand philosophy, and a lot of it just makes me realize how backward a lot of Who's morality really is. Oh, he's getting heavy with us, getting deep with us there so early in the show. That's not my thing at all. Hello to T-Matt as well. And Digby is saying, Tales from the TARDIS was something that I could do without. Nissa and Tegan never gave off a couple's vibe. Digby, I have to agree with you on that. These guys, this one especially, can be quite sentimental. I thought it was a load of meh. Meh. I was trying to get at the heart.
Tegan was talking about Nissa. She said goodnight to Nissa. That was the cat. She's got a cat called Nissa.
It was the cat.
It's not a lesbian relationship at all. That's problematic to me. I'm sorry.
Well, it's problematic to most real fans. Limykins, we know that the figures will jump hugely through iPlayer and Disney Plus massaging. You are right, I am sure. And Alpha Storm is saying here the standard iPlayer views are up to 15% of total viewing. So even with iPlayer, it will be below 3 million. Well, we'll come back to that. Alpha Storm and the official ones.
Yeah, I think it can jump, a decent chunk. I think the last, the 3 specials seem to jump quite significantly on iPlayer numbers, and that made all of us go, where have all these views come from? And we questioned how they are counted and all that sort of stuff. So we will see what they put forward.
Oh, we know where they come from. Yeah. It's for these avid minority of Blue Rinse fans that love all this representation nonsense and go back and watch it over and over and over. In fact, some of them probably haven't been out of their bedrooms this week, to be quite honest.
No, it's called creative accountancy, I think it's called.
Yeah.
You're
well,
right.
I have actually seen it. I don't know if you guys have as well, but I have actually seen it happening this week, saying I've watched Space Babies 13 times now. Well, you're obviously going to be in need of a psychiatrist. Oh, I've watched The Devil Code 5 times now. I'm going to be planning to watch it more. You obviously need to have a special suit. It's all this sort of stuff coming along, isn't it? I've seen it already. It's as though they're having a competition with each other to say, I'm the bestest. I've watched it more than you have. Oh my God. You know, and we do know, of course, that the iPlayer, BBC, hello, the iPlayer can be watched by people abroad. They can tap into it, can't they? We know that because some of our lovely Who viewers here.
You just need a VPN.
Yeah.
Yep.
Allegedly.
What's Invisible Panty Line got to do with it?
Different acronym.
It helps with your reception, I think.
Yeah, I'm very always aware of this, but I'm going to say it anyway because Hugh Janus is joining us. Having a flamboyant turbo gay play the Doctor wouldn't be a problem if he wasn't characterized him as a flamboyant gay and played him straight instead using the cunning art of acting.
God forbid.
What's the cutting out of acting? Surely not.
Yeah, I mean, we've said it before, and yeah, we know this, don't we? It doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter what a person's sexuality is. It shouldn't matter if they're male or female, apart from the Doctor always being a male. It shouldn't matter if you know they're heterosexual or gay or bisexual. That shouldn't matter as long as they can act and they understand the essence of the Doctor and they play the Doctor. Even when they're giving piss poor scripts. Oh, yes, let's get that one in again. Well, because they were bloody awful. They were absolutely awful. Right, let's have a look at this as well. Yeah, keep everything coming, please, everybody, for what you say. You've got a lot of people in the chat tonight. Let's have a look and welcome Paul Bowler. Hello, Paul. I thought the first 2 episodes were quite poor, especially the Devil's Cord. That was awful. It was cringe-worthy, wasn't it? It was so embarrassing. That's why I say I'm still in trauma. I might have to go into therapy by the end of this.
I'm surprised some people have actually said they thought it was better than Space Babies. I think they were both dreadful, but I thought it got worse by part 2. Yeah,
who the hell's saying that? Let's send the police round immediately.
Yeah, funny enough, I was listening to a review from last week, which had come out before the episodes, and they said because the first episode, Space Babies, had all that intro stuff, whereas the Devil's Cord was just more of an adventure and without all that, you know, this is previously on Doctor Who kind of crap for the new audience, you know. So that's why they were thinking that Devil's Cord was a better story than Space.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, rubbish. And we've got here Paul Roughton saying, I'm almost at the point of not even following to see what the latest drama is around it, just completely over it. Well, make sure you're staying with us. You want drama? We'll give you drama as well.
We'll keep you in the loop.
Drama.
Like Bedweir.
Yes, but I am looking forward to getting all this out of the way so we can return to proper Doctor Who in the summer. I really am. And Just Jordan is saying to us here, the awful interviews they did where they just pushed their agendas didn't help the show. Absolutely. Absolutely, Just Jordan. And I've got to the point now where I can't watch a lot of their interviews now because they just grate on me, to be quite honest. They really, really do. But that does bring us to another headline I want to talk to you about here, and it's this one. Now, this one you may have seen put around recently as well. This is all about Doctor Who's showrunner Russell T Davies gives Collider interview, admitting. I think that you know that's spelled incorrectly, surely, even in the States. Admitting he turned the show into queer self-insert. Now, again, I'm going to put out there for anybody new to the channel, I hate that word as a homosexual man. I can't stand the Q word. I find it an insult. It's just an insult. And I now believe that they use it to be inclusive because I don't believe they can say same-sex attracted, homosexual, or gay or lesbian. I don't believe they can say that because that excludes TWs and TMs, doesn't it? Because they're not same-sex attracted. Let's put it that way. So that's what I think. But let's get into this one and see what you all think about this. This is from this is Fandom Pulse reporting on this Collider interview. After the complete failure of the new Doctor Who episode Space Babies and the Devil's Cord, the cast and crew of the BBC turned Disney Plus show have gone on record trying to do damage control and gaslight fans about the reception. Russell T Davies went to Collider to pitch his narrative that identity politics supersedes everything and some insane things that show his intent has nothing to do with making the current iteration of Doctor Who a great show. Prior to the new episode's launch, which they're oddly calling Season 1, even though Doctor Who is a show that's been around for 60 years, Russell T Davies and Ncuti Gatwa did a press tour to burn bridges with fans. The content of the interviews consisted of Ncuti Gatwa telling viewers not to watch Doctor Who if they're offended by direction changes and implying they're bigots, tying his narrative to white mediocrity. Meanwhile, Russell T Davies made it clear the show would put extreme leftist politics over quality. Even the sonic screwdriver suffered because it was considered too much like a gun, and so it became the ridiculous redesign that fans online mock as looking like a sex toy. He claimed the show would venture into pushing the LGBTQ agenda and pro-abortion messages, and made multiple statements that he would knowingly upset fans. Congratulations, he achieved it. The Collider interview opened with Russell T Davies going on about Star Trek, and specifically how Discovery and Strange New Worlds are his inspiration. Now listen to this bit. I love the old show. I always watched the old show. But when Star Trek Discovery came along, I finally became a proper fan. And now I'm devoted with Picard and Strange New Worlds. And frankly, the fact that I'm not married to Captain Pike is a major problem in my life. And I look to you, Collider, to put it right. I love that man. Oh God, he's beautiful, handsome man. And what a great name. He also revealed that he loves them for their agenda, something Star Trek fans hate, saying there's something so 2024 about them. The interviewer then boasted about how she was queer and asked him about putting in the agenda into the shows. It's almost not that deliberate. That's just the life I lead, Russell T Davies said, confirming Doctor Who is really now about a self-insert like so much bad modern writing. Even though fans know it feels forced with its terrible dialogue, shoehorning political topics into every moment of Doctor Who, Russell T Davies continued saying, it just feels natural. This is the world, it's 2024, and we're all embracing it. The problem, of course, with things like Doctor Who and Star Trek especially is it's not set in 2024, is it?
No,
it's not.
No. Bit of a stumbling block, that.
Yeah, you would think so. You can see that if you're desperate on the Tube of Who and other platforms. If you're desperate.
The bit about the Sonic's interesting. I'm surprised it's not still like a sex toy, really, bizarrely.
Well, they changed it because they didn't want. Well, let's face it. Let's face it now. They didn't want a black man holding a device like his predecessors, did they? Because it looked too much like a gun. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it was all about there. So that's why it had to be changed. So again, as we covered in our birthday show, the sonic screwdriver was problematic. It's not anymore because now it looks like a flat anyway, and we'll move on. But that whole thing actually puts it into context there, doesn't it? About, you know, he wanted it to be like Star Trek Discovery, and he wanted, not realizing that the Star Trek fans, the majority of them, like Doctor Who fans, they don't like that version of Star Trek, do they? Because it was too what they call woke. I would call that a kind word now. It's losing its power now. Just say hard left ideological nonsense.
I mean, I can tolerate Strange New Worlds, and there's bits and bats about it that I like, but Discovery was painful. It was painful, but the interesting thing is that the key character was naturally a black woman. And I'm surprised they didn't make her gay, because she had a relationship and it was with a bloke. So that was surprising in itself. But even though she was from that an assumed straight woman, they called her Michael. Go figure. I've never encountered any other women called Michael, in the same way I haven't called Philip or George, you know, but she was called Michael. But I lost count, and I didn't watch it all because I couldn't take any more without the thought I might give myself a tumor. So I didn't watch anything beyond series 3. But
well, you got through 2 series. Good.
Yeah,
God,
there was
I got
so
the second
many
episode and thought this was crap.
There were so many episodes where she, as the lead character, cried.
Oh,
and now that seems to be a thing with Shooty, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Lots of tears. And it was just, you know, Kirk would have cried if you'd pepper sprayed him, possibly. But apart from that, he was hard as nails, wasn't he? And but a character as well, and with a real personality. This was just shoehorned in, and so many tears, just sobbing, and emotional tears, and happy tears, and sad tears. And
who was it in the chat over the weekend that said to us, I'm sure you're in there now, somebody said to us, do you remember the days when Doctor Who led with drama, it didn't follow? And this was smack of that. And now, because of what he said in the Collider interview there, he was watching the Star Trek stuff. He's obviously been watching other stuff as well, and decided, oh, that's the sort of place where Doctor Who needs to fit in. These people are completely deluded, aren't they? Because don't they realize that it's alienating In fact, they don't, do they? Or if they do, they're being totally arrogant and saying, well, those people don't matter because they're going to be right-wingers.
So is that where all the crying thing comes from? Is from Star Trek? Then that's why Shooty's crying all the time.
Surprise me.
Inspired him. Yeah, it's
It
inspired
wouldn't
him.
surprise me. But the other interesting thing about Discovery is that they've taken a classic series character, in this case Spock. Okay, and Spock was played by Leonard Nimoy, who was a white guy, much loved character, came back in the rebooted films that they did, 3 of them. The first 2 were great, and yet in Discovery, this black female called Michael was his half sister, and she was credited with effectively making him the man that he was. And there's a thing, isn't it? There's the Doctor, a much loved character, and all of a sudden everything goes back to a black female. All right, not a sister in this case, but the actual character became a black female. There's quite a few parallels when you stop to think about it. And again, I don't want to risk the thought of another tumor, so I'll try not to think about it too much. But there's a lot of parallels, and they're all shite.
Well, it's obvious that he's been watching that stuff and it's inspired him. And he said there in the Collider interview how he loves that. We know he actually loves it because, you know, if you follow him on his Instagram, which I don't, but I know that Kirsty, and hello to Kirsty and Garbage who are in the chat, and thank you very much as usual for being in there. Kirsty does, and I think it was Kirsty that sent me something from his Instagram that basically he messaged the producer of one of the Picard series and said that was brilliant, it was lovely, it was the usual gushing showbizy stuff that he is so brilliant at, and that's fine, that's dandy. But that's when I start to think, oh, Christ, he's been watching this stuff, and that's going to have an influx on his way of writing for Doctor Who. And it does seem that's coming as well. Troy is saying to us here, guys, I can't wait till RTD no longer has anything to do with Doctor Who. Well, unfortunately, in an interview this week, he has said he's not going anywhere, and he's going to be with the show for quite a while. Oh, that's smacks of poor old Mr. Colin Baker to me.
It does indeed, yeah. He may regret that, hopefully.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Mark is saying to us, is there a guarantee that Series 2 will air on BBC One and dumped on iPlayer? I think we talked about that briefly the other day, either Mark with somebody else, I don't know. Yes, there is. BBC One will show Series 2. They put the order in. They will put they will show that. They're going to show the Christmas Day episode. They'll show Series 2. It's not the first 2 series we should be worried about when it comes to broadcast or anything like that. So BBC One will put it on Saturday. It will be on the iPlayer, absolutely. It's what's going to be happening in the next few weeks, months, about what goes on for 3 onwards. And stay with us because we're going to be relishing every second of every bit of news that comes that way.
They could drop the whole series onto iPlayer early, and then and still screen it on BBC One. That is a possibility, in the same way that they did with Class, for anyone that remembers that failed experiment. That was given a terrible slot on I think it was a Monday night at like 11:15, kind of double episode. It was, they could do something like that. If they know Doctor Who's not going to get an audience on a Saturday night, they might bury it on, a similar time slot.
Yep, we have to wait to see, don't we? Vinx306 is saying to us here, I hope it keeps going. I'm finding it hysterical watching RTD crumble and expose himself. I know what you're saying there, actually.
He's not doing that as well, is he? Good.
Ooh, dodgy ground. But it's very interesting, actually, because I mean, he did do those sort of one-to-one things where he had the Shooty Gatwood and the logo background behind him in this sort of format that we're doing here. And he went on to various shows, but I didn't notice anything in the UK. And it all seemed to be approved media in America, like Collider and some other ones there, if you know what I'm saying. People that were speaking to the particular audience they were. And it just got me thinking as well, maybe they've seen the results of Disney already, and maybe that hasn't happened. So they've really got to pummel it when it comes to the foreign market, and especially into America. They could be using it, Bedweir, I think, for the approved things. Like this person for Collider, they are very TQ cult heavy.
Yeah, I mean, RTD seems to have done way more press than he's ever done before for a new series. Certainly more than we're used to seeing. And some of the people he's spoken to have been very random, shall we say.
Where have they come from?
popping up on YouTube channels that have a few hundred, subscribers and stuff like that. Really obscure stuff. But as you say, the whole point is to get the message out in America and to make it big in America and get people watching on Disney Plus in America, because they can't obviously work VPNs to access the iPlayer for free.
But it's like we said before, it's like the joke we had about the bots taking over and previewing it on reviews, like on X or whatever, saying excellent, Shooty's fantastic, great, 5 stars, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. It's much the same thing, but it's a YouTube channel, isn't it? Doing exactly the same thing as the bots are doing.
Yes. Yeah, it really, really is. And there does seem to be an element of I don't know if we still use this phrase now, but we used to call it damage control. And there seems to be a certain element of that, because it's had incredibly bad, very bad overnights here. And this could prove that in the industry, the overnights still matter, as we're seeing in the press here as well. And we'll come to a bit more of that in a second. Perhaps it hasn't done so well. We talk about the TOTs, don't we, everybody? The TOTs for Disney have, this is basically what's the acronym before, guys? I can't remember now. It's the timeout. Turn off time or something when they come out. So are they watching the whole episode, or when exactly do they tune out? That can be monitored apparently in these sort of big platforms here. So they'll know if they're staying for 3 minutes. I reckon in the case of the Devil's Cord, they wouldn't even have got to the title sequence. Let's face it, bloody awful.
Imagine if iPlayer had that functionality. It'd be fascinating.
Ooh. Great.
Imagine if the next version, the future version of that did, because that's what it should be doing. I've said it before on the show. Limykins is saying to us here as well, if you took the Doctor Who brand out of these 2 episodes and were just launching a new sci-fi show and what we have seen, it would fail hard and not be on prime Saturday television. No. We used to have a thing back in the 90s that I've only just recently caught up on because, it was the 90s and had a life, called Crime Traveller.
Oh, yeah. I've got that on DVD just here. Yes.
Right. Yeah. Crime Traveller. As I say, I've only just started to watch it. I'm on episode 4 or 5 of the first series. It's got a flavour of Doctor Who, but it's not Doctor Who. And as I'm watching these couple of episodes, thinking, this is better than the Doctor Who we're getting today, actually. With Michael and everybody there doing that whole thing. And that, I believe that was on Saturday nights and did reasonably well in the 90s from what the research I've got. But I looked at even that and you can just see a definite drop in quality. Huge drop.
Yeah.
I think the first episode, Space Babies, sounds like something that would be on Saturday morning kids television.
It's not that good. No, it's not that good.
I haven't seen it, so I'm just going from the episode time.
It wasn't even that good, Bedouin. I mean, this was something that shouldn't have been on television at all because it was just abhorrent. It was lazy. It was shallow. The script was ridiculous. I liked, as I said in the review, I did like Millie Gibson. I thought she was actually trying to act. I really did, and I can see potential, and I think she's got a lovely career ahead of her. When she gets out of Doctor Who, but that's my opinion. I did like her, but good grief, it was just.
I think Space Baby sounds like a cartoon, doesn't it? Really
exactly.
Muppet Babies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just Muppet Babies all over again. Divine Dragon, my guest views will be counted for any partial view to mass numbers. Matthew, thank you very much. I appreciate that, Matthew. Thank you. And Paul is saying to us here, RTD would make a great Urbanka monarch. Yes. Coda, welcome to Who's Views. Nice to see you. I work with Captain Jack, so the writing must be dreadful now. What you meaning there? Yes. And Stuart again is with us saying, if only the show had ended in 2017. I've been saying that since 2017, actually, Stu. With Capaldi lying on the TARDIS floor, it would have been off our screens for 7 years, and we might have been looking forward to a rejuvenated show returning now. Do you know what? Not with him. That's what I'm continuing to say. I passionately believe that the show should have gone and stayed away until show business comes back into the real world, because it's so preoccupied with this nonsense, this extreme left-wing ideological nonsense. And it's got itself into the TQ cult as well. We've got various people spouting off. We've got pronouns coming into the show. You know what I'm saying here. It's just ridiculous. And it's not Doctor Who. They've changed our beautiful show and alienated people so that you can't enter into it anywhere along the Doctor's path now. You just can't, because they're so busy trying to be inclusive that they're excluding everybody. It's ridiculous. It's just nonsense, isn't it?
I think
Tell me if I'm wrong.
I often think what it'd be like if another actor played the Doctor, and even the brilliance of Capaldi couldn't bring this up to any level of brilliance at all. Because at least some of the previous Doctors can make a crap script seem like a good script. At least you want to watch them. But I don't even get that from it.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, Paul. But I mean, it's like Tom Baker. He could read the menu from your local curry house, couldn't he?
Yeah.
And he would make it sound interesting, and you would listen, and you would probably enjoy it, but
especially if they delivered it as well. Yeah.
Oh, even better. But they can't even make an actual script sound interesting or exciting in any way. And yeah, it probably would have been best if it had ended with Capaldi. But the thing for me is it needed to end with Capaldi at the end of his first season, because by his second and third series, it was already going that way.
It was tired.
Already,
no. I mean, so they had the idea for the first series of Capaldi where he was going to be serious Doctor, and obviously not everyone liked that. I personally did. I thought it was great.
Yeah,
and they panicked, and so they changed him to becoming this cool guy that comes in on a tank with playing the electric guitar and stuff like that. So maybe if they'd followed through and had that transition to a more kinder, more light-hearted incarnation happen over time, then they might have got away with it. But they panicked after Capaldi's first year, and
they did. You could see that, couldn't they? Because they tried to lighten him up a bit and made him a little bit. But Capaldi is a class act, as we know, and we've said before, and we appreciate him. And he could lift those whip-it-dung scripts and make a performance out of them. And he made his Doctor believable.
That line you had in Insight into the Dalek about, she's my care because I don't need to care, or something like that. That was a
lovely line. Lovely line.
Fantastic line. And that was just so full of character, and what a lovely way to play it. And he played it beautifully as well.
It summed him up.
You got the character from that, and it worked alongside Clara then, and you had that dynamic.
Yeah,
but obviously the younger audience didn't embrace it, and they were a bit hesitant about that character, and they panicked and went a different direction.
And now we're in this situation where, who are these people? I mean, as I say, I'm still not seeing Gatwa as the Doctor in those first 3 episodes if you include the Christmassy thing, which I should do really. We're coming to we're going to be talking about Boom a little bit later in the show, so we'll get through that one. Thank you to T-Matt for saying here, I have read a lot of people did not finish episode 1 in the USA, but there is no official information at the moment. No, we'll have to see if we can get anything through. Lisa, hi Lisa, nice to see you. Here in Canada, Amazon Prime stated showing all episodes from the 9th to the 12th Doctors, and then out of nowhere got rid of them all. I wonder why. Neville is saying to us, I wonder if RTD has anything to say now. Well, he has been doing these sorts of things like the Collider interview, so he has got things to say, but it's I don't know, how can I say, I'm trying to articulate. It seems to be less powerful in his interviews than it was just a few short weeks ago. He was very much, we're doing this and keyword this and keyword this and blah 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 and blah blah blah, and we're all going, oh, what. And now it just seems to be, oh well, blah blah blah, walk in the park, through the poppies, la 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 la. And of course Shooty hasn't said anything, has he? Because I'm hoping he's had a telling off for his racist remarks allegedly.
Russell posted on Instagram, thank you everyone for watching, and
all 4 of you
didn't acknowledge the fact that hardly anyone was watching, but just gratitude for people watching. And it's the kind of outlets that are going to spin whatever the numbers are in a positive way.
I'm actually looking forward to seeing what these 7-day figures are, the iPlayer figures. I'm looking forward to the Disney figures, because that's a great show for all of us, isn't it? Because we're all going to be here, aren't we? We're all going to be coming back, and we're all going to be talking about it. Oh, Matthew is saying to me, how good were Luke Evans or Richard Armitage as the Doctor? Both openly gay. They cannot get off the planet. I always said Luke Evans would have been a cracking Doctor. Richard Armitage, he would have been quite good as well. I had seen elements in other dramas you've done where you just get that little spark when as a fan, we're sitting there watching, and suddenly you go, oh, no, because we all do it. We can see a bit of a Doctor, and you go, oh, oh, we've got that little twinkle there. But Luke Evans, another Doctor we're never going to get. Another. Oh,
and that's the thing. You think Russell would see that in an actor when he's casting the Doctor, but he doesn't seem to, I don't think.
Well, there could be reasons for that these days, couldn't there?
I know.
Yeah. Divine Dragonson, I think the best tell would be the merchandise. Does it sell? Of course, it's not going to sell, mate. There's not a chance. Because look at all this behind all of us here. All of us, we're not going to invest in the new season stuff. Bedwyer's not even watching it on the television, you lucky so-and-so.
It's just something like this you want to buy, don't you? That's what you want to buy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And what they'll do is they'll do exactly what they did with the Chibnall era, and they'll enforce this new version into our old stuff. So they'll try and edit stuff. They'll try and put the new version of the Doctor into original novels. They'll try and insert. I guarantee that's going to come. But all this new stuff that they're planning, which at the moment we know includes just the BBC Books novels, but there is other stuff coming. Ooh,
surely the action figures and the replica sonic screwdrivers would be hitting the shelves now if you're smart. If you think it's going to be a massive hit, you'll want to time it for when everyone's really into the series, which it's on television.
Everyone's into the series. Oh, God bless you. No,
because instead it'll be into the summer or into the autumn when this stuff appears. Everyone who wasn't lucky enough to watch the series will have forgotten about it, and kids won't care either. So,
the fact is the audience wasn't there, was it? And I know what you're saying, and I am taking the rise out of you, of course, as you know well, but it's not there. The new action figures, by the way, apparently. Where's my note on that one? Because I've got it somewhere. Hang on. They are due. That's not it. They were due. I think it was June. I've got notes everywhere. I think you should see this place. It's an absolute mess. It's terrible. It's about June-ish time, I think, that they're hitting. I'm trying to find out where they're going because I don't believe that they're all B&M exclusives. I think there's others coming and other people stocking them as well. It's going to be interesting to see if they sell as well. And considering that the action figures are going to be around about, allegedly, a recommended retail price of around about $13.99, I believe. Each. We'll find out soon, I'm sure. Ben, hello and welcome to Who's Views. I'm not going to read that one out. I'm really getting sick to death of Russell T. Yep. And nice to see you. And Troy is saying to us, surely this is the end of New Poo. Time is going to tell, isn't it? Because how many episodes we got left?
Sadly, 6.
Yeah.
God, we've only had 2. Why does it feel like we've had more?
And then you've got the Christmas one, but there's a few that might be interesting. Well, who knows? But at least Moffat might have a different take. He's not written a Christmas special for years now. So
we're going to know, aren't we? Yeah. We are going to know very soon. We'll know by tomorrow, actually, or midnight tonight if you're sad enough to stay up for midnight tonight here in the UK. Well, this might be the most accurate, honest article I've ever read, said Just Jordan, when it comes to this sort of stuff. Matt is telling us give RTD a dunce cap. And Mark is saying to us, Disney is paying so they can make this stuff ad infinitum. It's best just to not watch it. Well, they've only, of course, paid for 2 series, 26 episodes, I think we said in our last one, which is done. It's all done and dusted, including this alleged special. If you haven't seen our show the other night with the Legend of the Sea Devils, that was included in something. It's there. They've paid for, 8 episodes of that as well, 5 or 8 episodes. Hiya, Gary. Touch that AstroTurf now, folks. Yeah, and Stephen is saying here, congratulations to RTD. You have upset the fans. And as we've said here before, he had one job.
Just one job. Yeah.
Job. And what a balls up he's made of it. He's just built on what was happening before, isn't it? Phil's here saying, obviously, I hate to agree with Bedwyr.
We all do.
And Freezer, looking on the bright side of life, is saying at least it's not 13 episodes or 26. You've got a very good point there.
That is true. Very true.
I don't think I could go through 13 or 26 episodes after seeing those 2 things, mate. I would literally be in a padded cell.
I think they'd pull it if it was that.
Do it. What?
Yeah.
If it was that many episodes, they'd pull it, I think, because by the time they got to episode 10, it would probably get in ratings measured in the 10s overnights.
Absolutely. Oh, can you imagine? Yes, you're right. Thank you for that, mate. Atom, nice to see you. Hope all is well. Why did Jinx Monsoon's performance seem less original and more like a pantomime of Cruella de Vil from Disney's 101 Dalmatians? Well, we went through that in our Devil's Cord. And quite
Yeah.
frankly, I don't really want to relive it. I want to try and forget what was slapped into my eyeballs.
I hope he doesn't become a regular villain though, and bring him back.
Well,
God.
yes, let's not talk about that because
Yeah, sorry,
we'll go into a minute.
that thought just crossed my mind. Yeah.
From that whole Collider interview there, let's just remind ourselves of this again. This is what Fandom Pulse continue to say. Even with poor ratings and fan reaction, Russell T Davies is proud of destroying the Doctor Who legacy with extremist politics and evil gender ideology. His hubris is on full display in the interview, and there doesn't seem to be a path back to normalcy, if that's a word. Fandom Plus, there we go. And just to remind yourself what this was all about and where it's come from as well, from the man himself, from the Variety article, Gatwa's groundbreaking casting was met with much praise. There were, of course, some haters. Gatwa's message to the naysayers was simple. Don't watch, turn off the TV, go and touch grass, please, for God's sake. And by God, they did in their millions, because you didn't even get what Chibnall and Whittaker was getting.
If it was raining, I wonder if they would have touched grass, because if it's sunny, they would have done, obviously. But if it's raining, maybe not.
I don't think they would have done. I think they would have gone and watched whatever it was on the other sides, or watch Netflix or Amazon Prime or other platforms are available. You know, all those sort of things.
Yeah.
But it must have been a tough week for them over there. You know, we know what they're like. All these people in the offices of this. What we used to call the Doctor Who production offices, but I hate calling them that now. But it must have been a terrible time because, of course, Britain isn't doing what they want them to do. It's not standing still right now, and we're turning. The tide is turning. Common sense seems to be returning. Just to let you know, if you're out the UK, this was the Times and the Daily Mail. This was their front pages earlier this week. This is what's happening in our education system now. Don't teach pupils about gender ID, schools told. Say the Times. Well, the Mail reported sex education to be banned for under 9s with no more gender dogma. They were livid, I am sure, allegedly, over in the BBC studios, Bad Wolf, and possibly even Disney Plus offices, because that is going to have a massive effect possibly on the stories that are coming up. Who is
it called Davis Towers now, is it? Or something like that? Yeah.
This is amazing, actually. The stuff that we're now seeing, it's all coming out in the wash now about this, what's been happening from the TQI cult, that they're all part of there as well. It's all coming out in the wash. So I just wanted to show you those headlines on the front pages in case you're out in the UK, because you guys out in the UK don't necessarily know what's happening here. You need to, because those of you who are trailblazers over in your countries, you need to look at our NHS, you need to look at our education system, you need to say, hang on a second, this is what Britain's doing. What have they found out that our countries haven't? And fly the flag. That's what I say.
There is a lot of outrage, isn't there? They're not happy with it at all, just like they haven't been since the Cast report was published. But I mean, it extends further, doesn't it? I mean, they're banning the rainbow-coloured lanyards in government offices and things.
Oh, and they don't like it, Ian, do they?
Fantastic. I refused one myself. I just want a straightforward one with staff on it. Wouldn't touch one, and don't even use the bloody zebra crossings. But it's caused some fury. But again, it's a micro minority, because it is a micro minority.
But they are very loud. Let me just explain to people outside the UK what has happened here is a government minister, our equalities minister, I believe, Esther McFay, is not a very popular person again this week, because what she's come out and said is that the civil service and public workers such as the NHS, the National Health Service and what have you, shouldn't be wearing the rainbow flag, especially with that annoying bit added to it, which is the light blue, the pink, the white, the brown and the black bit, that chevron thing, which was awful. And I'm saying this as a homosexual. Awful. That's not what that flag was about. It was just tokenistic. And again, I'm going to say it, and I don't mean to offend anybody from America, but it came from you. It came from America. So anyway, everything comes from America, and you're loonies. Not all of you, but you know who I mean, who are loonies over there. So she said, no, they shouldn't be worn. And a small minority here of civil servants and public sector workers have come out going, I'm buying loads of these because we need to make sure that LGBTQI, BBC, ITV, Channel 4, any sort of letter added to it, depending what day of the week it is, people need to feel safe. Can I just say that if you need a lanyard to feel safe, then you really need to see a doctor. You really, really do. It's absolute nonsense. It's virtue signaling BS, isn't it? It's just bending the knee nonsense. And we really don't need virtue signaling extreme left-wing people. We don't need you. We just need you to treat us as normal, please. Just like we had. We're nothing special. Our sexuality shouldn't define us. Or I know there are some freaks there that it does.
It shouldn't define anybody, should it really?
I responded to somebody on X who a doctor, and they were proudly showing their multicolored bollocks lanyard thing, and was saying how they will always be that proud of their sexuality in their work. And it was just like, I just said, your sexuality has got nothing to do with your work. It just doesn't, and it shouldn't. You're there, you're paid to do a job, and the job you're paid for, I don't think in any circumstances is to display or celebrate your sexuality. Do that in your own time, not in your employer's time, especially when you're funded by public money. You have absolutely no right to push any agenda whatsoever that isn't policy of the department that you're working for. Yeah. And when it's a doctor, you're there to make people better, not say, hey, this is what I do with my private bits. Nobody cares.
This is the nonsense we've come through thanks to certain alleged charities like Stonewall and Mermaids infiltrating the public service and preaching a load of nonsense, because they were once, I know myself, they were once useful, but their usefulness was outlived because Britain moved on. So instead of disappearing, they took funding to do other stuff, and they became the spearhead for the TQ cult, and all this sort of stuff. And now you've got people coming in. And we were on the precipice there of complete lunacy. You could get forms, pieces of paper saying, "What gender are you? Male, female, blah 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 blah." Oh, what? This is the nonsense that we have, and all this sort of stuff, the pronoun usage and stuff. But this is what's coming to Doctor Who, and that's why we talk about it, because it is ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, God, they just go on.
It suggests that we don't have anti-discrimination laws.
Yes.
These things were put in place to combat discrimination against sexual orientation, race, gender. All this sort of stuff was put in place. And you mentioned the other day, JC, how we'd got to a point where with this with these laws being passed, everyone was kind of just getting on with life. And now a new battleground has been stoked up, unnecessarily, largely, because it's a tiny proportion of the populace. Yeah. But they are still protected by our anti-discrimination laws.
Yeah.
And they're going around like they're not. And so the fact that they're pushing this agenda in television drama is to highlight, I don't know, because this legislation's already in place. I don't get it.
It's just ridiculous, really. It was a real people that were old enough to know better and just didn't, but also a lot of people in education, etc., especially in the colleges and universities, the American leading propaganda that was coming over from the cult groups over there, and we adopted, or certain people adopted. That's where it's come from. I've said it before, our history is different. The way we look at things in a British point of view was different. We almost had it brilliant there. I know this from my perspective. It was nearly there. And then all these spoiled brats come along, and because they've got nothing to fight for, like my generation did, who are freeing Mandela, banning the bomb, out with the women of Greenham Common, fighting for same-sex rights, fighting for women's rights. There was so much to do in the 80s and 90s, most of which was done. And then they go make problems just to solve them again. Absolutely ridiculous. I want to say hello to Van Zan. Nice to see you. Jing Monsu's performance was about as menacing as rice pudding. Well, I quite like rice pudding, though. And Doug is saying, welcome, Van Zan. Nice to see you. As a Welsh-born Aussie. Oh, there you go. Look, there you go. Welsh-born Aussie, Bedweir. I think the best way to save Doctor Who is to finally cast the Welsh actor. Luke Evans, Rhys Ifans, Matthew Rhys, or Aneurin Bernard. Now, Aneurin Bernard. Oh, don't get me started on Aneurin Bernard.
Suggestions.
Yes, because he's going to be in Doctor Who next week. And he was one of the guys that I really wanted to be the next Doctor Who when Whittaker was released from contract, left.
I think he was allegedly cast, then he was replaced by Shooty, and he's got a little cameo in this episode.
I've got that feeling too. Yeah, I've got that feeling too. But because you mentioned him, we're going to bring this in as well, because this was an interesting article. So get ready for this, everybody. This is this one from Inverse.com. Doctor Who's new villains reveal the show's latest challenge. Even Doctor Who needs to remember when to rein itself in. Do you see a pattern emerging this week? Because I certainly do. Let's continue.
Yeah.
Doctor Who returned this week with a pair of promising, if uneven, Russell T Davies penned episodes, Space Babies and The Devil's Cord. One is a simple spaceship set adventure, the other a stylish twist on a standard trip into the past. While Space Babies features a fairly straightforward monster in keeping with plenty of Doctor Who's past villains, The Devil's Cord introduces Maestro, played by Jinx Monsoon, a physical embodiment of music itself and one of the legions whose arrival was teased by Neil Patrick Harris's Toymaker in The Giggle. A transcendental being capable of bending reality to their will, Maestro is one of the most formidable villains that Doctor Who has ever introduced, and Monsoon's charismatic scenery-tuned performance as the character only makes him seem all the more imposing. However, while Maestro is responsible for all of the most memorable moments in The Devil's Cord, his presence also results in the episode making what is a pretty rare mistake for Doctor Who. Maestro's first scene in The Devil's Cord, in which he sucks all of the musical life out of an unassuming 20th century composer's soul, is absurd and terrifying in all the right ways. The same goes for the villain's chilling first quasi-confrontation with the Doctor. These scenes, notably, mine most of their power out of Monsoon's physicality as Maestro and some uncanny staging techniques. Unfortunately, Maestro's scenes from that point on only become more and more outsized until the sheer spectacle of him overwhelms everything else. This is due firstly to the abstractness of Maestro. His powers are so strange and seemingly limitless that, as was the case with Harris's Toymaker in The Giggle, Doctor Who has the freedom to showcase him in some truly surreal ways. On the one hand, this frees Who up to go all in on some genuinely astonishing stylistic flourishes, as it does when Maestro looks to the camera early in The Devil's Cord and starts to play the Doctor Who theme song. On the other hand, the transcendental nature of the Toymaker and Maestro makes it too easy for Who to rely too much on its bigger, partly Disney-backed budget this season. That's clear in the Doctor's climactic showdown with Maestro at the end of The Devil's Cord, which is so loud, overlong, and reliant on special effects that it almost feels like it could have been ripped straight out of a modern superhero movie. For most of its time on the air, Doctor Who has been tasked with making a lot out of a little. The sci-fi series has, until now, been saddled with an infamously small budget. As a result, while Doctor Who has told more than its fair share of apocalyptic stories and introduced plenty of world-ending threats, its budgetary restrictions have always forced it to keep its focus on the characters. A lot of the best Doctor Who stories have done just that. Now that it has more money behind it, though, Who is in constant danger of letting its focus drift away from the characters that actually make it great. The Devil's Cord suffers from the same lack of restraint that most of the Doctor Who specials that premiered last year did. Current and returning Who showrunner Russell T Davies has adopted what is, even by his standards, a surprisingly maximalist approach for this new, Gatwa-led era of the show. His desire to test the series' limits is admirable, but it's worth noting that most of the greatest Who episodes are the ones that rely more on the strength of their characters and the cleverness of their writing, rather than the battles or moments of spectacle. Unfortunately, as impressive as villains like Maestro and the Toymaker are, they also make it very easy for even an experienced Doctor Who writer like Davies to forget that. Hopefully, he'll start to exercise a bit more discipline and restraint moving forward. If he doesn't, fans may be in for more visually impressive, but otherwise hollow episodes like The Devil's Cord. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think if Doctor Who, made a lot out of a little, it's the other way around now. It's a little out of a lot, isn't it? Because it's not. The money's making no difference, really. It looks great, but the writing's crap.
Did it look that great, though? I wasn't overwhelmed by it at all.
Well, I to be fair, it doesn't look much better than it did when Capaldi did it, because some of the effects are probably just as good, if not better, then. You know what I mean? So,
Guys, what do you think of that?
I mean, it reminds me a bit like when I referred to Discovery and Strange New Worlds earlier. I enjoy certainly Strange New Worlds, some of that. But a large proportion of what I enjoy in that is the visuals, the effects, the spaceships and things like that. And in a sense, that's what they're saying there, isn't it? It's more style over substance.
Yeah.
And that's the line they've been going to for some time now, both with Chibnall and with Russell T Davies. It's more for what it looks like rather than what it actually is. It's ultimately just hollow. It's not got any of the style, the charisma, the charm. Doctor Who always had charm, didn't it? Classic proper Doctor Who always had charm, and it always had a soul to it. And now it's just soulless, empty dross. And like we said in the reviews, how many seconds in was it before you were looking at your watch? You know, and it can look all that it likes. It can look as flashy as it likes, but it's still not going to be a good story. And I think the writing's on the wall. It really is.
When it comes to what the article is saying, though, it's saying that it's villains. It's more or less, saying here that the villains on paper could sound possible, but it's the same. You know what I mean? What it's saying here is that they're going to be twee, they're going to be shallow, they're going to be the same thing, they're going to be Disneyfied every sort of week, aren't they? They're going to be these grand god type things that come along with different powers, like in the superpowered superhero things. That's it. They're going to do all that sort of stuff, aren't they? But it's not quite Doctor Who. Doctor Who is the Daleks, the Cybermen, the Sontarans, the Zygons. They are aliens, aren't they? That look a little bit yicky or just want to destroy everything. That's Doctor Who, isn't it? So if they're going to churn out all these sort of Toymaker type things, Maestro type things, an awful lot, it is going to contribute to losing the essence of Doctor Who, isn't it?
Well, it's like that being an all-powerful being like Thanos in the Marvel movies. That it's just too powerful because the Doctor isn't a god himself.
Although he's made it out to be in this version.
He is now, he's certainly in this version, but he's not meant to be. But so he's not got the power to defeat someone who's a god, really. But he needs something that's maybe nearer to his level. You know what I mean? But not someone up here. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're right about saying what Doctor Who is. But sorry, Bedwyr, you started there as well, didn't you?
No, carry on, Ian.
Right. You were saying about what Doctor Who is, and it's the Daleks and Cybermen and the Zygons and things like that, and the Sontarans, and it absolutely is. But at the same time, Tom Baker's era, when it was really, really, really good, it didn't feature the Daleks or the Cybermen. They did that in the first season, and then it didn't. And you had that classic situation of familiar environment with something very unfamiliar in it, or you had somewhere totally alien or in space, a spaceship or whatever, or a base, and you were trapped and there was something stalking the corridors. That was the stuff that made Doctor Who as well. So, you're down in the sewers, but there's a giant rat there, or you're in a huge mining machine going across the surface of a barren planet, but you can't get out of it. And there's murderous robots stalking around and you don't know which ones are the murderous ones. And that's what made Doctor Who as well. That was the essence of Doctor Who. You aren't going to get anything like that anymore because it was too damn good. It was too well written. It was too well directed. And it had scripts and proper actors that could pull it off. And you're just not going to get that now. At all.
Well, not when you've got the setup that you've got right now and in the current day that we're in, and not with the showrunner that's absolutely insisting that everything has to reflect 2024. I mean, you guys, and those, if you're new to this channel, please, if you are new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel, please like the video, do all the stuff that you need to do. You are very, very welcome here. And if you're not in the chat yet, come into the chat if you can. And it's free to subscribe. So please subscribe to us. We really appreciate it. But if you're new to us and you haven't seen us talking before, I'm not interested in all this soap opera element in Doctor Who. I don't think it's got any place at all. I think the Doctor should meet his companion, to get in the TARDIS, and off they go through time and space. That's Doctor Who in a nutshell for me. It's the Time Lord traveling around the universe battling monsters. I totally believe that. I cannot stand all this has to be in the modern day. I can't stand it because if you go back and look at RTD's work now from 2005 season onwards, some of it is a little bit dated. And that's not going to age well over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. This stuff that we're getting now from the 2 episodes we've already seen is already dated. And I think it's going to continue to date for various reasons as we move through the series. And we're going to be looking at those as we do all our reviews, which are on Sunday nights. I just don't think it's going to... I think it's already aged, and I think it's going to continue to it. And I think that's where Russell Paul has a problem now. I think his writing is just not there anymore.
Well, I think I agree with the soap opera aspect of it. I'm not a fan of that much myself. And I don't like the fact that the Doctor, depending on the episode or the script writer or the story, the TARDIS is controllable depending on where the story wants to take it. So I used to hate the fact that Clara could come back and visit her family or go to work. She had been on Skara fighting Daleks, and she goes back to work the next day. That doesn't work.
It just doesn't make sense.
You can't do that. You know what I mean? You can't do that, really. You know. But
to be honest, Doctor Who's fallen into this superhero era trap.
Yes.
In that everything has to be end of the universe type scenario. It's the series finale type thing. Everything
all the time. Yeah.
Every year it's got to be end of the universe type thing.
Yeah.
We had the Flux, which destroyed half the universe. That's not really being resolved properly because apparently
it was only half.
Yeah, like half the universe.
That's all right then.
But this is why they've sought out Disney money and Disney budget for these incredible special effects that they feel that the show needs, whereas actually what it just needs is solid storytelling. If you went back and look at the 60s episodes, anything was possible in a studio in Lime Grove or Riverside or TV Centre.
Yeah.
Whether it was some, Marco Polo or Smugglers or, Period Earth or Far Future, Keys and Mariner stuff, anything could be created. Now they've got in their heads that they've got to match blockbuster movies. And that's only if you're telling blockbuster movie stories. Actually, if you bring it back down to, you mentioned the Base End of Siege type scenarios that worked brilliantly and will still work brilliantly. And, stuff like that. Those are the episodes. It doesn't need to be all this massive end of the universe type stuff. It can be more simpler than that. And the bringing in of familial elements and trying to get that emotional connection is just a cheap way of trying to connect with characters, really.
And it does get really cliched and repetitive when they have the end of the universe at every finale, because it's like that makes Doctor a real cliche, doesn't it? And people just think it gets ridiculous and silly, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's again, isn't it? I mean, we've been showing this since they started to release the details of this alleged new series of Doctor Who. We've been slagging it off slightly, haven't we? Because we're going to saying, it's the bestest ever again. Yeah. Oh, it's the worst villain he's ever. It's the worst villain he's ever met in the 61 years old again. It's going to be the most apocalyptic finale again. There's going to be something happening to the companion again. It's just typical way that they sell it. And it's just now everybody just goes. Ugh.
That's it's the same with superhero movies. They've dropped off because the big studios have banked loads of money in those franchises, and people have got a bit tired of them. And that fatigue, that superhero fatigue, is exactly what's happened with Doctor Who. People have got sick of seeing the universe being a threat again and all this sort of stuff. And what you actually want is your central characters to just be in peril. That's enough. Yeah. But unfortunately, now with the Timeless Child and all that rubbish, there's no real threat to the Doctor anyway, because he just regenerates infinitum. But it needs to be brought back down and not this end of the universe type crap all the time. And
you have to care about the characters as well, don't you, to actually have that investment in them in the first place, don't you?
Yeah, and we haven't got there yet, have we, with these new characters? Alien Airplanes, hello to you. He's actually making the point that classic toy maker Sutekh, the tricksters, it's not a lot, but Doctor Who has certainly had godlike or supernatural beings. And then he also says, and the silence was also very supernatural. Yeah, what I'm trying to put here, though, Alien, is the simple fact that RTD has said now Doctor Who's going to be more fantasy than sci-fi. And I think that's because he finds anything that could be sci-fi problematic. Look what he's done to Davros.
Yeah.
Look what he's done there. What would he dare do to the Cybermen? I don't think he's even going to touch the Daleks yet, because, as I've said before, the Daleks are just a tank of boiling real hate. Not the hate they tell us that we all have, what all these weirdos say, oh, you hateful person. It's not that. This is real hate. The Daleks have real hatred towards anything that isn't a Dalek. Bang, you're going to go. I think that's problematic to him. So I think he's coming with all this fantasy stuff like a snot monster.
But isn't that the kind of stories he's telling? Because the Daleks are a reflection of fascism, and like is to be destroyed. Like you don't just, or if he wants to tell those stories, just tell a Dalek story with the Daleks as that. But instead, they always have to be out to destroy the universe, or
well, it's like somebody in the chat was saying the other week when we had a similar compilation, that if the Daleks do turn up in this reiteration of our beloved show, this version here, instead of exterminate, they'll say exfoliate. That's where we've got.
I think the Daleks' ideology is too close to theirs. That's the problem.
Possibly, yeah, possibly. Divine and Dragon is saying to us here, this is what makes it so frustrating now. It doesn't have to be lazy writing, but now it is. And Doug is saying to us, what I miss about Doctor Who is the everyday stuff being scary. Shadows, statues, monsters in the wardrobe or under the bed, behind the sofa stuff. And that's why, Doug, I think he doesn't necessarily want that now, because I think he wants everybody, all this new audience that he's pandering to, and this way that they think the kids are now. I think they want them to come out of the episode going, oh, well, that's all right then. I don't think they want them scared anymore. I don't think they want them behind the sofa anymore, because that might be traumatic for them.
I mean, it's weird, isn't it? That I think you're right. I don't think he'd dare touch the Daleks right now, and if he did, they would be watered down. And you have to reflect on what that says about him as a writer and as a showrunner, or whatever he calls himself now, demigod or whatever, because I mean, he certainly thinks that of himself, doesn't he? He's untouchable. But you consider when Terry Nation did it, when he first brought in the Daleks, and he had a producer that was a woman in her 20s who was Jewish, and a gay Asian had just been a director of the first story.
That's right.
And it was only, if you go back just 20 years, the actual fascists were still running amok across Europe.
Yes.
He did it. He brought the Daleks in, full-blooded, 18 years after the defeat of fascism and the death of Hitler.
Yeah.
And he had the balls to do it, and it was fantastic. Now, you go 70 plus years from the fall of fascism, and Russell D. Davies hasn't got the balls at all. And he's afraid of what it might come across as. It says everything about him, I think.
Yeah.
Well, the first Dalek story in 2005 is
emotional
by Rob Sherman, because it's just about, what if this creature gets out?
Yeah.
It's the possibility of what can happen beyond this particular adventure. And then you get to the end of the series and Russell's writing them, and it's end of the universe type stuff, and that's continued on for finales that we've seen since. Bring it back down. Just have that smaller story, because that's so much more impactful.
Well, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because he's gone on record in the last couple of weeks as saying that he loves the big epics. He thinks that everybody expects it now, and he likes to write the big epics, and he likes things that build up to these big epic two-part finales. And he thinks that's essential now when it comes to the presentation of Doctor Who. I just would like to look forward to the day. Moffat tried it once, if you remember, where I can't remember if it was an epic thing, but it just had the Doctor, Rory, and Amy just going off on another adventure on one of the episodes. It just sort of tied up, and then they're in the TARDIS, and then they went off somewhere. I don't know. But that ended that season, whichever season that was, whether it be 5 or 6, I don't know. But that happened. And I'm just looking forward to those sort of days where it's not all blazing and, oh, look at us, and look at us, and aren't we clever, and isn't this brilliant? And we're putting all the money into these 2 episodes.
Well, you just box yourself into a corner, don't you? There's nowhere to go. And then you just repeat yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, obviously, because that's what's happening now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Atom is saying to us here, the law has irreparably broken and the show is now not fit for purpose. Vinx 306. I'm excited for the new episodes for all the wrong reasons. I'm excited to laugh at it. I'm happy to watch my Attack of the Cybermen. That's my Doctor Who. Well, same here. I'd go and watch that, actually, to be quite honest. You know,
You're gonna go watch it, JT.
Yeah. Pick up one of these. They're really good.
Highly
yes, I
recommend.
will. It's coming. It's June the 24th on the standard editions. Okay, it's on the way. So, okay, so I've got a few more weeks to that.
Not bitter at all.
No. At all, no.
At least
you should stop the special editions. They're much better.
Anyway, moving on. They've turned the Doctor into a superhero, says Paul Richards, who can flit about the room at breakneck speed, like in the Xmas special Dreadful. And also on top of that, we've also seen that this version of the Doctor is emotional. And we've actually seen, haven't we, here on headlines, that he wanted to bring a humanity to the Doctor, which again, it makes me go, ugh, because he's not a blooming human. Cybermat Strikes is saying, look at the ambition of Web of Fear with no money. Now we have money, we get space babies. Oh, God, that's awful. Cybermat Strikes, actually, isn't it? Putting Web of Fear and space babies in the same sentence.
What a comparison.
Two different shows, two totally different shows, decades apart, but two totally different shows. And the 60s one, as we all know, the better one.
And yet the same show.
Yeah, Web of Fear is amazing. Fantastic episodes.
Yeah, I've been told in the chat it was the Big Bang Theory. Is that right? Is that, you telling me that? Is that what it was? John Mason is saying, look what's coming next. It's the cyber them.
Yeah.
Yes. See, it's problematic, isn't it, having the Cybermen? And Steve Crayons, welcome to Who's Views. Let's see what you're saying to us. New Doctor is in a multiverse of endless possibilities. Unfortunately, it's landed on a planet pathological altruism where the agendas eat and slowly dissolve all who take part in its madness. Now that sounds like a good
love his
story.
picture of Oddbod 2 from Carry On Screaming. Fantastic.
Oh, look at him. Doesn't he look cute there? We love Oddbod on this show. Yes, we do. We're a big fan of the carry-ons. Yeah, so we've got all that. But thank you, Steve. It's lovely to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. If you are new to us, and there's a lot of you in the chat, if you are new to us, please make sure that you have press the subscribe button. We do really appreciate it. It's free, so please do that. Steve is saying to us here as well, guys, we used to have excellent season-ending stories like the Seeds of Doom and the Talons of Weng Chiang, but they weren't all about the universe ending. You get my point, don't you, Steve? That's the sort of thing.
They need to be.
Yeah. It just, I mean, surely the Doctor by now as well as a character is like, oh God, the universe is going to end again. Oh God, you know, it's so boring though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's. I mean, if you did it every 5 years or something, that's better. Not every year. That's too often, you know. I mean, someone mentioned in the chat about gods being in classic Who. Okay, there were a few, but they were spread over 26 years. It wasn't like every other week, was it? Yeah. I mean, the fact is that they are now,
and then Maestro just in quick succession.
Yeah.
You know,
because they're dealing with curtailed seasons now, Bedouin, aren't they? They're dealing with, we've got to get this in the can and get it produced because we've only got certain investment for a certain amount of time. So let's get that. Oh, and we'll add a spin-off there as well. Who's going to be watching that? I ask. We're going to come to that.
And Maestro simply just is a carbon copy of the Toymaker, really, isn't it? I mean, the performance level, the character, the abilities, it's much the same character, isn't it? Really, that's the problem.
Yeah, except the Toymaker had the original beautiful performance from Michael Gough, which was how you should play a villain in my eyes. Then you had a sort of version which was passable from what's his name, Neil Patrick Harris. Thank you, him. And then you didn't have a performance from this. As I said in our review of The Devil's Gorge, if you haven't watched it, go and look at it. All that was a drag queen turning up and doing a drag queen performance on the telly. That's all it was. I didn't see any evidence of characterization or any of the stuff that we take for granted from an alleged actor. All I saw was, I'm in the frock, I'm in the shoes, and I'm going to play my drag queen here, and I'm going to be la 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 la, and all that fourth wall I'm getting tense again, everybody. I
kind of meant the kind of the premise of the character is very similar to the Toymaker and the Giggle, so it's very similar, and as Ben Weir said, so close together to the Giggle. If it was 2 years down the line, it'd be okay, but it's three episodes between the two of them if you're lucky, you know. It's crazy, but yeah,
because it's going somewhere, isn't it? Do you know what? I'm going again. I'm going to need some of our own advice here, aren't I? yes. I'm trying to breathe, everybody. I'm trying to breathe. This is what happens when we are passionate fans of something and somebody gets hold of it and says, now you will think like us and we're going to insert all this crap into your favorite show, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, there we go. What time are we on now? Well, not long actually. As we're broadcasting, it's coming up to 9:25 here in the UK on Friday evening, the 17th of May. Not long until Doctor Who, RTD, D2, Disney Who, Series 14, Series 1, whatever you want to call it. Not long until the third episode in this new version drops on iPlayer at midnight here in the UK. And as I say, always say sensible times everywhere else in the world. And of course, it is the one that, I don't know, I'm personally, I have a little bit of hope for, because of course it's the one that sees Stephen Moffat returning to Doctor Who. There he is there. This is the picture of him there on set. This was released earlier this afternoon. That's him on set for Boom. It's on the way. As you can see there, they are using all the latest television technology there. I love all this stuff. They use this in things like The Mandalorian and stuff, don't they?
Yeah.
You know, it's all there for them. We've got this whole video screen behind them. I can't remember what it's called off the back of my head, but it really does beat the whole green screen thing. And it has had, gentlemen, I don't know if you've seen it, it's had a little bit of publicity this week in the usual TV listings magazines, but not much. I was quite surprised. So I don't know if any of you have seen this, but I've on Tuesday, I went and did my usual work for you all, and I'm presenting it for you here. Now, the Radio Times has for decades now had an independent, well, it's both independent now, but it had a rival called the TV Times. Because back in the day, the Radio Times was owned by the BBC and only brought the listings for BBC One, BBC Two, and BBC Radio. That, of course, has evolved over the years. To combat that, the independent television network, ITV as we call it here, came up with the TV Times. Strange that, isn't it? And started publishing that. And that, of course, only showed the independent networks' TV listings. Now, of course, everything has changed, but the TV Times is still around. And it didn't focus on Boom at all. In fact, it only focused on Millie Gibson, which I thought was a week late. Surely that should have been for episode 1. But yeah, it was an interview with Millie about what it's like to be the Doctor's companion. Now, this is probably because Millie, through TV Times readers and the ITV network, has come from Coronation Street, which, of course, is an ITV top-notch drama, a soap opera that's been going for longer than Doctor Who in the UK. But I thought that was interesting because although there's that little picture from Boom at the top there, it was all about Millie and her experience filming the series.
Do you think they're hoping to draw Coronation Street audiences to Doctor Who because she was in Coronation Street?
That's exactly what I thought.
That's not worked, has it?
No, not at all, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But there was some coverage of Boom in some of the others, but again, not as many as I thought there would be. There was a double-page spread in Total TV Guide, which is not bad, but it's now got that infamous picture there, as well as the usual pictures that have been released by the BBC. These are the ones that you'll find all the YouTubers using as well, including ourselves here at Who's Views. Interesting article. There were a couple of things that I did hone in on. Last week's double bill, Space Babies and the Devil's Cord, showcased Doctor Who at its most boisterous. Oh yes, agrees Stephen. Massive crowd-pleasing stuff. It's Russell in that mode. Tremendous fun and very funny. And then boom, literally boom, the name of the next episode. It's probably the grimmiest one I've done. He continued then. Unearthly or not, Stephen's not done yet. He's also scripted this year's Christmas special, which is called Joy to the World. I should probably introduce that one from an armchair, he jokes, adopting an old man voice. Here we are, number 50. But I'm not involved in next year's series. There are other things coming in for me, so I might never write for Doctor Who again. As I got to the end of Joy to the World, I did think, is that it? My final moment? So that could be my goodbye, number 50. I'll take that. And look who wrote about it. Ex-Doctor Who magazine editor, Tom Spilsbury. So that was Total TV Guide.
Who is he kidding? He's not coming back. What a load of nonsense.
Yeah, well, it is. Shooting Atwell has gone on record, by the way, to say that this is his favourite episode of the entire season. Boom.
Oh.
Sorry, Russell.
I know it says a lot there, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah.
The
rest of them
radio
are crap, but that one's good. Yeah.
Yes. The Radio Times itself did. Well, again, it did this. I'll just show you. It had a page article which was based around Stephen Moffat, saying a lot of what he'd already said to other people, and then it had that Saturday highlight thing is actually a very small part of a page on the Saturday page, if you like. Doctor Who drama tonight, 6:50. But there was an awful lot going on this as well. Yes, Moffat said that. Yes, he's written the Christmas special. He was saying that he also, and I'm paraphrasing here, everybody. He also said that after Space Babies and The Devil's Chord, we basically stand by for a shock because his episode is completely different to those two. Well, that could be a saving grace based on that one because it bloody well needed to. So yeah, that not as much. That's all I could find, guys, in all the TV listings magazines. That's it.
As I said before, I quite like Moffat's work, most of it, and he is better when he's not running the show and he can do his own episodes independently. But I just think I still feel a bit meh about this.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah. Bedwy, you're still not going to watch this, are you?
I'm not planning on it.
No.
If the reaction is, oh, actually, this one's really good, and I expect, if there's an episode that's going to come along that's going to be worth watching, I think it will be this one because it is Moffat back doing Doctor Who. I think the grittier kind of environment is far more up my alley than Jinx Monsoon and Space Babies. So I might watch this one. I'm not planning on it. I'm up to other things tomorrow when it's on, and well,
you'll have to wait till our review on Sunday, won't you? You can come in. You can come into our review on Sunday, see what it's like, see what we say, and then decide. That's what you can say. Hello, Mark. Mark Jones.
You're all wrong.
Mark Jones is with us. Hello, Mark. It's nice to see you. Let's hope Boom is not going to be one of Moffat's mind-bending, makes no sense unless you've got the IQ of Stephen Hawking to understand the story. Now, thank you for that, Mark, because that leads me to something that I actually did get from these interviews or these chats with Moffat. I think it possibly may be, and you might have seen the video they've released of Moffat looking to camera to say, introducing his episode here. You can see it on the Who's Views page on Facebook if you haven't already. You can also see it on the official platforms as well. But also what came out through these little chats with him is that he was sort of implying it might be a mix of sort of like Silence of the Library with some of this sort of real thriller aspect he's been wanting to do in Doctor Who and never did in his own time. So it could well be. It could well be there, mate. Mark, time will tell on this.
Hopefully, and this is of shooting the benefit of the doubt, if it's a strong episode, it might show a strong performance from him, and the Doctor might finally appear for me, which could be good.
It has to. It really has to. For me, it has to, because I haven't seen him in the 3 episodes I've had yet. I've seen slight elements of Doctorish, but not enough. So it has to. Neville is saying to us here, the blatantly obvious landmine. And Richard is also saying to us, don't step on that glaringly obvious landmine. Now, let me just put the landmines are invisible until they're stepped on, apparently.
Yes, there's a trailer that's been going around where it doesn't reveal until the foot is on it, and then it comes into vision.
Yes.
Yes. So it's like a normal minefield would be because they're under the ground kind of thing, isn't it? Same kind of thing, isn't it? Yeah.
And I also have to say as well that in these interviews, Stephen Moffat confirmed what we've all been saying here on Who's Views for a little while, that this entire episode was based on his love for and his inspiration from that scene in Genesis of the Daleks, where the 4th Doctor, played by the mighty Tom Baker, stepped on the landmine. That's what the inspiration of this entire 45-minute episode was from.
And Tom Baker never cried once in that scene.
Moffat did the same with what was it, The Magician's Apprentice and
The Handmines.
Yeah.
They were actually quite good. I remember thinking at the time, they're scary for the kids. Oh, I like that. I quite like that,
Yeah, the whole idea of what if this child grew up totally evil and then he goes and meets Davros. It's all he loves Genesis, and rightly so, because
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
But don't return to it anymore, please. Just leave proper Doctor Who where proper Doctor Who needs to be. Just Jordan is saying to us here as well, I think a lot of effort is focused on the social media advertising now. Don't necessarily agree with it, but I've seen quite a few bits on Insta and X. Now, that's the thing, Just Jordan. You're absolutely right. And I was going to bring this up, so thank you for that. They are really pushing this because that's where their mythical new audience of young people is. That's where they seem to think, all these old farts seem to think that they're all living there. And they may well be, I don't know, but they're not coming to the show. But the problem is, Just Jordan, what they're doing there, and you're absolutely right, is by not promoting it on the traditional channels, the parents aren't coming along. People of a certain age aren't coming along. They don't know about it, so it's not for everybody anymore. Again, it's a BBC thing of trying to find the next generation of TV license fee payers. That's all it's about.
It's at a different time as well. So it's at 10 to 7, which is half an hour later than last week. Yeah. So if you want to watch it on BBC One, trying to find what time it's actually on, that needs to be the thing that comes across in your advertising, in my opinion.
Yeah,
they always did that though, didn't they? They always did that, especially with Tennant's era. They were doing that all the time. It was so many different time slots through a season.
And yet, the first few years, 7 o'clock became Doctor Who's time, depending if the World Cup was on or whatever. Because in those days, we used to get 13 episodes. Do you remember? So occasionally, it would have to move because the World Cup was going or whatever.
Yeah, there was one year it had a week off because of Eurovision. They didn't put it on before; they just left it off for that week.
Quite right too.
Yeah.
That's
not
called
moving around because 7 p.m. was the slot.
Yeah, 7 p.m. became Doctor Who time, and in those days when it was popular, and the majority of Britain was watching, as we know from the ratings in those days, because it was smashing Ant and Dec on the other side.
Yeah,
two giants, no pun intended, of the television industry. But it was smashing them, and 7 o'clock became a ritual at a certain time of year every year for families. That's all gone now. That's all gone, and it's so sad. But then I'm actually, part of me, Hugh viewers, is very pleased because it's utter crap. I'm so embarrassed about it now. Cloud SSJ4 said, well, he also said that his favorite monster is the bogeyman. So, was that Shooty? Did he? Right. Oh, well.
It's interesting what you said about Moffat and his inspiration. He's taken the inspiration from Fourth Doctor standing on a landmine in Genesis of the Daleks. But you have to ask yourself the question, what did Terry Nation take his inspiration from then? Oh no, he just wrote it. He just wrote it originally.
Dad's Army, I think it was. That's what.
He was a pretty good writer, so he didn't have to plagiarize it from anybody else.
Yeah, although I think Barry Letts and Terence Dix had a hand in it as well, to be quite honest. Saying, remember that story there on that one. Yeah, Darren, hello to Darren, and hi to Lex, who's joined us again. Raymond was just saying there, in case you missed that, he cries again in this. What a hero! I don't want to see the Doctor crying. The Doctor does not cry. He is not like that. So if
he's not even got a hanky in his top pocket of his costume to blow his nose or anything, has he? It's like,
I'll have something to say. If we see about the Doctor crying in this, if I don't like it, come back and see us on Sunday, because
maybe the Doctor created the bogeyman with all these crying. That's what happened. Yeah.
Time Lord bogies. Darren is saying to us here, I'll give this one a try. The premise is intriguing. I'm going to agree with you there, Darren. This is the only one. Well, actually, there's 2 episodes I'm interested in this season, for 2 different reasons, and I'll explain. I'm interested in this one because the premise is intriguing, Darren, isn't it? It's the Doctor, he can't move. So basically what Moffat has taken away from the Doctor for an entire episode is his energy and his actual ability to move, and that for the Doctor, doesn't matter what incarnation you're dealing with, that's a hindrance. Let's face it, because he's always moving. And the second one that I'm interested in for different reasons, purely because of the casting and the premise of the story, 73 Yards, which is the one that comes after it, because we've got 2 of my favorite actors in it, Aaron Bernard and Dame Sian Phillips is in that. And it also sounds like it could be a proper traditional Doctor Who folk style story with a scary twist, but we'll talk about that more when we get into it. But the rest of it doesn't interest me at all. And after Space Babies and The Devil's Cord, please. Not. But this one, Darren, come back and join us on Sunday when we do our review of Boom, and let us know what you thought about it, Darren. I'd be very interested. John is saying maybe Boom will not bomb. Ooh. See what you did there.
I was going to say, I know we're talking about it when we come to reviewing it and watch the episode, but what is Shooty wearing in this episode?
He's wearing a. In fact, I forgot a picture loaded on it because let's have a look. If you can see that, there it is. There, it's the traditional velvet jacket, but it's sort of cropped in that sort of modern style that's around at the moment, and then sort of, I think they're tan trousers and a t-shirt.
A t-shirt, yeah. I mean, that's not very doctory, is it? Is it?
No,
I mean, really? No.
no.
Okay, velvet jacket maybe, but it's not a. You wouldn't catch John Pertwee in a cut-down velvet jacket, would you?
Never.
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. This is what I said the other day, and Paul, I think it was you that said it to me as well. I as you know, who viewers, I'm having problems seeing the Doctor in shooting out. I can't see it yet. It's not there for me, and it'd be interesting to see if by the end of this series it is.
I'm
Paul
looking forward to the last episode of the season.
Paul suggested it's because he hasn't got the template outfit.
Yeah.
And that
he needs an image. He needs an image.
It's an inconsistent silhouette.
Yeah,
it could be that, couldn't it? Having been brought up with the original proper Doctor Who, 7 Doctors with the silhouette, even the successive ones in the reboot had the silhouette, and this one's changing his outfit every week. He feels more like a companion to me, if that makes sense to you all, because that's what they did. I can't. Maybe it is that. Maybe it's not just the performance. It's not just the crappy scripts. Maybe it is the fact that I can't see past that. He has to have the leather coat that he had in the first one, or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. Could
just
be
some consistency, even if the colors change, or as long as I say, that silhouette stays the same. But anything.
I would love to have seen him. It won't happen, but in the Regency one, him turning up in that leather coat like Shaft in Regency period would be fantastic. But they're not brave enough to do that, are they?
Oh, it would be brilliant, that, wouldn't it? Because that would be again the whole thing about the Doctor. I've said this online while I've been attacked on various social media outposts this week. Bring it on, kids. Bring it on. But no, it's a case of like the Doctor for me when it comes to his outfits, he's always thinking he's got it right and he never does quite. He's always out of step at some point with a human for whatever reason. And that would have been brilliant with this particular version of the Doctor, as we all say in the chat here, looks like a model. And he's got that top on, he's got that leather jacket on, the long leather jacket, which is very Doctor-y. And he thinks he's got that right. And it still wasn't quite right, It would have been interesting.
It's hardly been seen at all in the time he's been in. He's in one in Church on Ruby Road and a little bit in Space Babies. He takes the coat off almost immediately in Space Babies. It's like he's embarrassed about it.
Exactly. Daryl's joining us here and saying RTD's blanking Eccleston this week and talking about who he's loved working with, and also saying he'd like to remake The Second Coming with Netflix. Is that another subtle dib, do you think? It could possibly be. I understand his point about, he's obviously looked at what budgets he would be able to get now rather than an independent drama for ITV to do The Second Coming, because in his mind as a writer and as producer, I'm sure he's seeing the whole of a Manchester stadium really filled properly now, and all this sort of stuff, and real worldwide coverage of this guy coming along. But I did think that myself, Darryl. I thought, ooh, diggy, stirry, maybe, possibly, allegedly. Limekins is saying to us here as well, maybe if we are lucky, Boom will be a musical with a Will Smith guest appearance. Limekins, get off. He's outrageous, isn't he, Limekins? He's winding me up. And what we got here from Lex, I love you, Limekins. It looks like Gatwa is doing a fashion show in Doctor Who with no fixed costume.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Cloud SSJ4, given the presence of the clerics, I hope he doesn't try to tie this episode to Time of the Angels. Divining Dragon is saying to us, I think this show is now a blinding obvious landmine the fans all stepped on. Clever stuff, everybody here. Dalek, I love you is saying to us, Tom Baker would not be crying though. Yeah, absolutely, he wouldn't be. What else? Coda, you're very naughty. But funny, but very funny. Chap with skirt there, 5 rounds rapid, allegedly. And Mark is saying to us, thoughts about what if Boom underperforms? Whose fault will it be? The weather, the fans? Okay. Well, it's going to be the fans again, isn't it? We've been blamed for it this week. It'll be the fans' fault. It'll be anybody except theirs. Let's face it. Yeah.
Will they actually turn on the general public?
It's only a matter of time, isn't it?
I think. Oh God, I think they would. I think they absolutely would. I think they would do anything to scramble an excuse. And the BBC has turned on the British public in the past, don't forget, especially after the whole Brexit debacle.
Because at the moment, it's the fans that are getting it in the neck. It's the fans that have, all the stories about the low overnights and whatever is because the fans have, walked away and described it as woke and watchable was, story we led on, this episode of Headlines. It was the fans that were being blamed, but actually the people that far outnumber the fandom is the general public, and it's not engaging the general public. So when are the BBC going to turn on the public for not watching their flagship show?
When they lose their TV license.
Yeah. I reckon anytime. I mean, let's say they've done it before. They did it with Brexit. They did it with the Match of the Day fiasco as well, didn't they? They didn't listen to that. They've done it through the critics of the TQ pushing all that. They've called us everything for that. You might not be aware of that, guys, but I was in on that, obviously, against what they were doing. They were calling us all sorts of stuff there. Various members of BBC staff, all alleged, of course. We had that incident with the lady that we spoke about at the beginning of the year, who was the racism, who then have to leave the corporation. Yes, I think it's a matter of time till we see it with this. Hello to Astronomical One. It is nice to see you. Welcome to Who's Views. The real question is Russell done after this series or season?
Well, not according to him.
No.
He's sticking around, isn't he?
He's staying it. He's staying, and he's also. We reported just the other night, Astronomical, on Headlines, that he has already started a third series. He started writing a third series. Okay. So according to him, no, he's carrying on. But sometimes in these instances, it's not necessarily them making all the decisions, is it? I also want to say hello and welcome to Al. Or AL, hello. I'm intrigued by this episode. I think that means yes. Nice to see you. Welcome to Who's Views. And Benjamin Elliott is also joining us. Maybe ITV could try making a good sci-fi show for Saturday early evenings. Now that there is room for one. You would think so, but ITV have always had a bit of a miss there, haven't they? I think the nearest, in my estimation, that ITV managed to do was the Space 1999 all those years ago, and the second series of that is very the first series of Space 1999, which is proper sci-fi. They tried it with that dinosaur-y thing, didn't they, when Doctor Who
Primeval,
came?
yes.
Primeval.
Yeah.
ITV put Space 1999 out at about 8 o'clock on a Thursday.
It was that was your region. In my region, it was a Sunday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
They did do the Tomorrow People.
Wow.
Give them that. That was good. Tomorrow People.
The Tomorrow People, but that was a set time on what then became children's ITV years later. Do you remember? You go home from school and you would watch Tomorrow People, and it would be on. I think it was on. What was it? Tuesday or something? It was not a Blue
Quarter to 5 or something like that. Was
yeah. I mean,
we need ITV to bring back celebrity wrestling, and then Doctor Who viewing figures will go through the roof.
The point is, though, as well, it's an interesting point to say, isn't it? If Doctor Who, when Doctor Who flops harder than it's flopping now, because it is that going to harm the genre? Yes, it is. Will people start to produce it more? No, they won't. No. And this is what I keep saying, isn't it? I see parallels here to 1988, 89, and 1990, quite frankly. The show came off in 89, and then there was a harm to that industry, to that genre, rather, for some time. And I think in Britain, again, it might I think history's repeating itself here.
Well, the BBC in particular avoided science fiction throughout the 90s, and with sporadic toe dips here and there. Yeah. It was only really when Doctor Who properly came back in 2005 that
everybody jumped on the bandwagon.
That sci-fi was back in again. And
yeah. Just Jordan saying the wardrobe is where they spent all the bloody money. Yes. Yeah, because how many outfits do they need per episode? Is it still 4? Maybe 5?
I wonder what Janet Fielding would say about this, because she didn't costume changes at all.
Bring back Time Slip, please. A great show that needs a reboot. Oh, wow. Time Slip was a great one.
Time Slip's great. Yeah, I love Time Slip.
You know what, though, Dalek, I'd love you. I'd be terrified for them to bring anything back now. I mean, there were all those rumors of them bringing back Sapphire and Steel, one of my personal favorites. No, leave them alone. Don't touch them, because they'll wokeify them. New word, trademark Who's Views. They will wokeify them. They really will. They'll make them utter nonsense, and they'll do all the DEI casting and stuff like that, won't they? I mean, that's why I'm really worried about the Avengers coming back, even though it's with a studio I would more or less trust. Decadent Dave is saying not enough question marks on his costume for his liking.
As I've said before, he's wearing Doctor Who underpants with question marks on them, isn't he?
And with Tom Baker on them. And the Ultimate TV, welcome to Who's Views to you. Shooty's Doctor is too modern. Too of this day. That's why his doctor may not get through the next 5 or 6 years, because you can't have him that. The doctor is supposed to be.
He's got to get through 6 weeks first, JT.
Here's Divine Dragon agreeing with myself here. I fear for any show, new or rebooted creative right now. Yeah, they'll just. I mean, come on. And Lex is saying to us, he's not won me over. Not the doctor, more of a fashion model. Go on, Bedouin.
Yeah, I mean, the previous point, it really depends who you're with. I think if you have something being made by the BBC, then it's very heavily looked at, and you know, all their policy doctrine is in place. Channel 4 is a bit more close to what the writer intends, I would say, but yeah, the point still stands, particularly with the BBC in particular.
Oh, totally. Well, that we know their days numbered now. They are off. It's definitely going to be outdated, says Al. His fashion, all the doctors are timeless, I'd say, except the 6th Doctor. You know, looking back though, at Colin's outfit now, it suits his Doctor completely, and it just shows that he thinks he's brilliant, and yet he's out of step with everybody in the universe, and it shows how alien he can be. I reckon he would have had Colin's Doctor got to Gallifrey. The Time Lords wouldn't have batted an eyelid at that, because they would have thought, "Oh, look, sophisticated Time Lord about town."
I mean, you know, I don't know if you've seen this particular cover, JT, but you know, the cut and
I really like it. It's really nice.
Yeah, the costume, you know, is very much in the style and the silhouette of others that have gone before. It's just the colours that are slightly garish, but it's very 80s.
You know, I think that's possibly why I like it, because of the 80s, and you know, hindsight is a wonderful gift, isn't it?
It's
Lisa,
the only problem with that season, time lashes in that season, isn't it? Yeah.
Phil, take no note of them, love. Take no notice of them. Lisa is saying to us, only a fool would think any of these 8 episodes will be good. Sorry, Lisa. And the era of good Who is over, and we need to mourn instead of hoping it will come out of its death dive. Oh, I totally get you with that. I mean,
we need to mourn instead of hoping it will come out of its death dive.
Yeah.
Boom might be good. Let's see. Boom might be good.
We have to. I agree with Lisa there by saying this isn't Doctor Who. It's not Doctor Who. I don't know what this is. It's not Doctor Who. It hasn't. As far as I'm concerned, the Doctor is still in the snow, fighting off a regeneration. That's where I last saw the Doctor.
I thought you were going to say he's still in the snow at the South Pole on the 10th planet. I thought you were going to say if I'm in there.
No. I'm quite happy.
Back a bit, yes.
William Hartnell is the only Doctor.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I'm quite happy to include up to Capaldi. I must admit, I'm quite happy to that, even though I have issues with the reboot on many levels, which is not for this particular show. But yeah, and I know what you're saying here, Lisa. We will be looking more about that topic as we go through all of this, of course. You know,
it'll be fascinating to see if Moffat's written a Moffat era script, or whether his script has been tailored for this new era.
Yeah,
with the inclusion of the kind of things we've talked about.
Yeah.
Well, I read somewhere that potentially it could be it's knocking Christianity in this particular episode, I'd heard, but that'll be the problematic part.
We'll soon find out, won't we? We haven't got long to go now. We haven't got long to go till it arrives. But you know, that
wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, you've got the clerics back again, you know, with dog collars and guns. I mean, that's all very brave, but you really want to show some bollocks. Do it with some of the other ones. You know, don't do Catholicism or Christianity or anything like that. Try some of the other ones. Put them in burqas or something like that. Then show us how hard you are. And they will not dare. You know they won't.
Not a chance.
No.
We will soon find out. We will soon find out on this. Thank you all for your comments, Who viewers. It's really, really nice to see you all. Fantastic. Mark is saying to us here, Mark Jones, welcome to Who's Views. It makes no sense if apparently the Doctor can't die. Then what's the point of him standing on the landmine when his life is in danger when he would just regenerate again? Wow.
That's my problem. Yeah. The whole Timeless Child thing is ruined. So I don't know how they're going to convey any tension, because not that I'm planning on watching it, but if I was watching it, I'm thinking he'll regenerate, or there'll be some nonsense way where he'll heal himself and stick with Shooty's face, you know.
Yeah. The leg that's been blown off, he'll just go and get it and then attach it back on and blow on it. And there we are. That's the episode. That was rubbish. And
he's probably about 3 weeks still into his regeneration energy. He'll just change back again, won't he?
Yeah. Or the leg will extend into a whole second shooty.
He might have a foot in a like a jar.
The jar.
Having the TARDIS instead of a hand to do it like that. Yeah.
It's a good point though, Mark. I tell you what, if you're going to watch it tomorrow, remind us about it when you come back to us and see us on Sunday for our review of Boom. And remind us, because I wonder if they've put something in there. I wonder if there's a line in there explaining this. Because surely you're right. I'm glad you've put that up. Surely he wouldn't be that frightened because he knows he's got infinite lives now. So surely he'd just ruin the entire episode by stepping off the bloody thing.
And just dive, just just get away from it as far as you can. Yeah,
it's a really, really good point. I like that. Thank you very much.
Just throw another foot.
Is Ruby just going to put like stones underneath it just to balance it, and that'll be it?
I don't know.
And that's where the tension comes in because Ruby's useless and can't be twisted.
It's like explosive Jenga or something. It's like plump. You have to be very careful.
Z3PO, it's nice to see you again. Welcome back. This is Docky Who. I hate that bloody saying. I've been seeing some really stupid, some really silly kids. Stupid strong this week calling it, I love Docky Who. Where are the bloody parents? And Troy is saying Time Lash is horribly underrated. There you go, Phil. Listen, just stay with us.
That's two fans for Time Lash. We have to
stay with us here on the channel, though, for that. Because as you know, if you're a regular, our Phil is a very big fan of Time Lash. But we are going to be reviewing it when we get back to doing proper Doctor Who reviews as part of the channel. That's coming up. It's on the schedule. So, Phil will be thrilled about that. And Stuart is saying to us here, I'll watch Moffat's episode, but for me, it's last chance. After that, I'll be turning off, as I did for Chibnall's era. It's not just Doctor Who anymore. Stuart, I know what you mean. I didn't watch any of the Chibnall era at all. Not one bit. Never intend to. And that's why on this channel, we will never review any of the Chibnall era episodes because I refuse to watch them. I'm feeling the same about this stuff as well, but we're doing it for this channel. So listen, if you don't like it tomorrow, come back and tell us on Sunday on our review on Sunday for Boom. And please stay with us come and support me going through this crap. Thank you. I really mean that to all of you. Please come and support me. The things I do with this channel, it's really ridiculous. So yes, thank you for that. It's really nice to and thank you, Stuart. It's nice to see you. Welcome. Oh God, not long to go now, everybody.
No.
A couple of hours if you're staying up in the UK to watch it on the iPlayer. Freezer is also saying Time Lash is one of his favorite episodes. Look, isn't it amazing how we always manage to get back to proper Doctor Who, everybody?
They've come out of the Time Lash closet, haven't they? That's what's happened.
Available on this shiny box set.
Yeah. Mark is saying to us here, thoughts on what the foreign markets ratings will be? I think they're going to be poor. I think they're going to be really, really poor because I don't think the foreign market cares. Although, again, this week I have seen some alleged fans from across the world saying that they have loved Space Babies. But we talked about this on a previous show, didn't we, guys? Are they real? I'm not so sure now. I'm very, very suspicious now. I don't know if they're all... Oh, it's very, very...
Well, if you look at Rotten Tomatoes, the critics scores are very high, but the actual viewers are below 40%.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
If they're not bots reporting on all this, they'll be like Disney sleeper agents or something like that.
Yeah. Yes, bots. That's the word, bots. And Doug is saying to us, maybe Boom is about the Doctor bi-generating into Basil Brush. Now that would be entertaining.
I would love that.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we've also got this. I wanted to point this out as well from our friend Anita at the Telegraph. Now, if you were with us a couple of weeks ago, or a few headlines back, it was last week actually. Anita was the only show business reporter that actually gave us a sort of on the fence style preview of Space Babies, remember, in The Devil's Cord. And she was quite to the point, wasn't she? Well, she was back. And this is what she says for this one. This again was in the Telegraph. Doctor Who Episode 3 spoiler-free review. Stephen Moffat's explosive return is a bit of a dud. 2 out of 5. In Boom, the former Doctor Who showrunner has come up with a concept that puts Ncuti Gatwa's natural energy into a straight jacket. Ooh, so it's going to be that's all we've got from Anita on that one. But yes, I think that's
That's
all.
all she's written, really. Is that all?
Well, there was a lot more, but I thought no, we won't influence
Yeah.
ourselves. We won't through anybody influence ourselves because we've now got to go and watch it.
Yeah.
Before we do that, I want to just remind you that if you are new to Who's Views, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Please subscribe. It's free to subscribe. I keep saying that. If you've already subscribed to the channel, please make sure that your subscription is still there because we've had people messaging us to tell us that they've subscribed to the channel and then for some reason it unsubscribes them. Nothing to do with us, something to do with the platform, but please make sure you have. As part of our reviews, which are on Sundays, we do something called the ratings game, and it's just all for fun. It's just all for fun. And in that, the Whotastic panel and myself and you in the chat tell us whether you think the next episode will be higher or lower than the one before. So just remind you what we're looking for tomorrow's episode for Boom in comparison to the Devil's Crap Chord is Kirsty said higher at 2.6. Ian said that we'll go lower for 2.3. Paul said lower at 1.7. Jody said lower at 1.8. And I said lower at 1.9. So there for the overnight scores. We will be looking at all of that on Sunday in our show on Sunday. Isn't that exciting, everybody?
Oh, Jim, I'm looking forward. Oh.
It was dead weird for a minute, but it's not. It's okay. Excuse me a second, viewers. I hate doing this, so excuse me for a second while I just answer this. Hello, Who's Views Hotline? Can I help you? Hello.
Who's Views? Yeah, Stephen Moffat. Eh? Stephen Moffat's back. Oh, everyone's so excited about Stephen Moffat. He's back.
Yes.
You know, he's just marginally better than RTD. Just marginally, you know. And
Right.
he's just honest. He wouldn't be there had it not been for his wife and his wife's mum. Let's be honest.
Controversial.
Well, thanks for phoning. Bye. Not controversial at all.
Is that a
but
wrong
thank you
number?
very much. Oh, I've no idea. But Mr. Angry Fan seems to be, making a bit of a habit of coming in talking to us there. But there you go on that one. At this point, I just also want, phew, stony ground there. I just want to say thank you to Bobby D75 who sent us this. This is from Flix Patrol, most popular shows on Disney Plus this week. Thank you for this, Bobby. Look at this. Bluey at number 1, Grey's Anatomy at number 2, and Modern Family, which stopped ages ago and ran for about 600 years, is at number 3. But where is the Doctor? He went from going straight into the top 5, didn't he? And he's disappeared from the top 3. He never got there on Disney Plus. We're going to be looking at things like this again. Again, thank you, Bobby, for actually sending that to me. I really appreciate it because I'm having problems trying to find the Disney Plus stuff. So thank you for that. Keep it coming with that. But yeah, there's your top 3 on Disney Plus: Bluey, Grey's Anatomy, and Modern Family.
Bluey is great.
Grey's Anatomy's been finished for a long time as well, hasn't it?
Is there a current series of Grey's Anatomy? Didn't they bring it back?
Well, maybe they did, yeah. So it's new episodes rather than old ones.
Probably. That's what I mean. I mean, Modern Family must be on a repeat from Disney Plus because that went for 10, 11 seasons, I think. And it went off. Well, it went off before 2020, definitely. And quite frankly, they wouldn't have got away with Modern Family in today's showbiz climate at all.
So are you suggesting that they've taken a long-running program like Grey's Anatomy that's been off and brought it back and made it a success?
Possibly.
Wow.
Oh, here we go. Benjamin is saying to us, Grey's Anatomy never stopped. It was renewed for season 21 this fall, which is the autumn, isn't it? Right. Thank you for that. We're in Britain, so we don't really know, but thank you, Benjamin, for that.
I think it must have been the rights or whoever was screening Grey's in the UK changed.
Yeah, because we stopped. Either that or Disney Plus bought it, and you have to get Disney Plus to see it now and catch up with it. Because they do that a lot, don't they? And Freezer is giving me nightmares here by saying a Bluey and Doctor Who crossover. I think we're going to get that, though, mate. It's on the way.
It'll get ratings.
Yeah, I mean, after what we've just got through with those blooming previous two. I mean, God, even the kids saw through that one. Well, listen, and finally, everybody, for this edition of Headlines, let's have a little bit of a laugh, shall we? Except it isn't really. Have you seen who's on the cover of Time magazine? The Next Generation Leaders is an article in this edition of Time magazine, one of the most longest running and most respected, or was, magazines in the world. Ncuti Gatwa is taking place there, the new face of Doctor Who, with 19 more trailblazers shaping a brighter future. And I have to say now that if these are the trailblazers shaping a brighter future, we're all in bloody trouble. Who's on yours there?
At least he's not Person of the Year yet.
Well, yeah. That could become it. Honestly, when you look at the list that Time have put here, I mean, again, I was saying woke is a kind word. I nearly wept when I saw who these people are saying trailblazers. They are all part of this show business, fantastical TQ-led cult, and we are in trouble. If they are the trailblazers, we are in trouble as a society. Good God, what were they talking? Where are the sane people in show business? Can you please start doing your bloody jobs and kick everybody out, please, everybody? Come on. Give us what we want, which is decent entertainment, which is what you used to do. Goodness
is
me.
That costume on the front cover of Time one of his doctor costumes, you think?
Apparently this is his. This is something that was given to him for the photo shoot.
All right, okay. I was going to say he actually bought that, but obviously it's given as a freebie. That's why.
I don't think
some fashion house.
Yeah.
But, I mean, these people don't buy anything, do they? It's all given to them. Come on.
And he's paid to wear it, obviously, because he's wearing their fashion
afterwards.
Yeah.
And you would think that a headline like that the current actor playing the role of the Doctor is one of the most influential people in the world type thing would do the series well, wouldn't you? But actually, it's not, is it? It just seems there's something gone wrong. There has something gone wrong here, big time. Do you not think?
Yeah, and the parallel universe, Tom Baker's on the front cover, the fourth Doctor in his great costume, but and wowing the world as he did in the 80s and 90s with America and stuff.
Yeah. Raymond is saying to us, everything is given to Ncuti. He's getting a lot of coverage. And Dividing Dragon is saying to us, JT, the same people ousted for entertainment. True, absolutely true. They were retired or they were too white, allegedly. Lisa is saying to us here, I still get people here admiring my TARDIS person. The funny thing is, they ask if the show is still on. Good point. We get people here actually in the UK saying that. Oh, that's still on, is it? They did do that. Sorry. Controversial. What have we got here? Be mindful. Yes, says Mark. You're absolutely right. Good grief. Says Dalek, I love you. Can you see anybody but him wearing this nonsense? Well, I would have worn it once upon a time in my thinner days, probably. Something like that. I had kilts and stuff. Yes, I did. Yes, very cool. And Disney in particular says, Dividing Dragon, purge their sane creatives. Yeah, because it was all about the tick boxing, wasn't it?
Yeah,
you know,
representation. It's important.
Yeah,
apparently so.
There's only a couple of reasons why he's on the front cover of that magazine, and it's nothing to do with his intelligence or skill as an actor or anything like that.
No,
it's because he's gay and it's because he's black.
He's not gay. He's queer.
Yes, my apologies. I didn't want to use an offensive term.
Yeah, he's the homophobic word queer, isn't he? Really?
Yeah.
Well, listen, that was your finally tonight. Thank you so much for joining us here on Who's Views tonight for Headlines. Thank you to Paul. Thank you to Third Doctor Ian, and thank you to Bed. We had a great conversation. I've really enjoyed it tonight. Thank you. I enjoy it all the time. Who am I kidding? Thank you to everybody in the chat. I hope you've enjoyed it as well. It's been wonderful to see you. We've just gone 10 o'clock here in the UK on Friday, the 17th of May. If you are staying up in the UK for episode 3 of this new version of Doctor Who, which will be dropping on iPlayer in just under 2 hours' time, I hope you enjoy it. Good luck to you. But don't forget, come back and see it, our review with us on Sunday. We will be here on the channel from 8 p.m. this Sunday to review Boom. The show is up on the channel for you now. You can ring that bell to make sure that you've got a reminder. Come back and let us know what you thought about it. I will be here with the Whotastic panel. Will it be pain or will it be gain? Let's have a look, shall we? For now, thank you to the 3 here. Thank you, as I say, to everybody watching us. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. We really do appreciate it. Thank you for liking the video. Oh, God, here we go again.
Look on the bright side. You've only got. We watch this. That means there's 5 left.
Yeah.
That's the bright side. I mean, for
That's the
crying
bright
out
side. That's all I
loud.
can think of. I'm not
Oh,
than
God,
that.
it's
Yeah.
not
We'll have a
worse.
laugh again. We'll have a laugh again. That'll be great.
We've got Time Lapse to review.
Yes, that's coming
we
up.
have. Yeah,
That's coming
yeah,
up.
yeah,
That
yeah.
is coming up. Yay, we're going back
Available
to
on this
after
very nice box set.
Oh, God. Right, with that, good night, everybody. We'll see you on
Good
Sunday.
night, everybody.
Come back and join us then. We'll see you then. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.